Beyond the gates of mighty kingdoms lies a vast, unexplored world. A world of honor. A world of mystery. A world of danger.
Four years have passed since the mortal races banded together and stood united against the might of the Burning Legion. Though Azeroth was saved, the tenuous pact between the Horde and the Alliance has all but evaporated. The drums of war thunder once again.
In a land of mighty kingdoms, new threats emerge. Ancient alliances are reforged. And an unexplored world awaits. Blizzard Entertainment proudly invites you to experience Warcraft from a whole new perspective. Stake your claim. Live the legend.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, where are my ladies and gentlemen at? Welcome back to the stream, guys. The date, I can't believe it. The date is August 19th, 2019. We're officially 1 week away from Classic WoW. I can't believe it. I said it before, my milk expires after Classic WoW comes out, and I just know it's close, man. We got a treat for you planned today. Today, we're riding on a knife's edge. The stream is kind of unstable. I'm not sure why. I'm dropping some frames here and there. Fingers crossed we can get through it, guys. We have a treat for you today. We're going to be doing a rogue, like a dedicated live interactive guide with you guys for all things rogue. People are still kind of figuring out what class they want to play. We're in the final hour here, but people, believe it or not, people are still figuring out if they want to what class they want to main, what their plans are. A lot of people are rolling rogue and maybe are unfamiliar with you know what being a roguelike is while leveling, or at 60. They also want to maybe get a feel from some seasoned rogues, what it's going to be like, and or if you're like me, I'm not even super into rogues. I want to know what the enemies are thinking. I want to see what my arch enemies are thinking. So anyway, enough talking for my guys. I'm joined today by really good friends of the channel. We have Dustbone, Tactics, and Sorrana, some big brain rogues. Sorrana, rank 14. Well, I'll let them introduce themselves, man. Let's start from the top, man. Sorrana, introduce yourself to the people if you could be so kind, and just your history playing WoW. Don't be modest. This dude is a legend, guys. Sorry.
Okay. So if you tell it that way, yeah, my name is Sorrana. I started on retail vanilla back in the day. Got a rank 13 rogue there, but had no idea how things were working back then. So I took a few years off WoW after it wasn't what I expected anymore. Came back in 2015 to Nostalrius and started my rogue journey again. Made it to rank 14 through some really hard times in the honor caps, and I continued with ranking a mage to 13 again, and yeah, so my focus is basically on PvP. On Northdale private server, I was playing with some top-end guilds, doing some speed runs in MC and BWL. Yeah, so that's basically me.
Yeah, Sorrana's a longtime friend of the channel, guys. We did like 14 PvP episodes together months ago. I've learned a lot about PvP from this guy. He's been a great mentor for me when it comes to PvP stuff, for sure. You guys are doing yourself a disservice if you're not following him, man. And you got 14 back during Nost, right? When the honor caps were like disgusting. The China wars and stuff like that. That is crazy, man. If I was a rogue and I was sitting in your guys' position in the chat right now, this would be the juiciest info right now. I would be so hyped, dude. One's in the chat if you're playing rogue. Thank you, Sorrana. We're going to pass it off to my man Dustbone right now. Invictus class leader, seasoned rogue, just all-around rogue enthusiast. Even as much as I try and shit on rogues, he's always just defending them and finding ways to hold it down for the rogue class, man. Introduce yourself to the people if you can.
Yeah, so my name's Dustbone. I've been playing since beta. First mained actually a warlock, surprisingly. Got him to level 30. Wasn't my thing. Started playing a rogue and haven't stopped. Cleared all the content multiple times. Only got rank 10 during retail vanilla. Wasn't really big in PvP. PvP on and off. Not as seasoned as Sorrana, unfortunately. But definitely know a lot about the class and the PvE aspect of things, speed leveling or speed clearing content, stuff like that.
Awesome, man. Thanks for being here. Another longtime friend of the channel. He came and visited me in my house here in San Francisco. We went and grabbed some pho noodles, some Vietnamese food. It was awesome. I'm gonna see you at BlizzCon too, man. It's gonna be great. Tactics, my man. I met him recently. Guys, this guy is the young speed leveling prodigy of the speed leveling community. I'm gonna call it as I see it right now. This guy he has the best time I've seen 1 to 10 in Valley Trust Dirt, so I take pride in that route, and I think he was at like a 128 on a shaman, and he's been okay. If you were to ask me what the worst leveling class in the game was, or like the slowest, as a gross generalization, I would personally probably say Rogue. But then you have Tactics just defying all expectations and getting some crazy times on the beta. He was on the beta as well, and just proving all the haters wrong, man. Like actually being very successful as a Rogue speed leveling. How are you, Tactics?
I'm good. So I guess I started back in 2007, but I was only 9 years old. I started early 2007, so I actually didn't play vanilla, but I've been playing vanilla on private servers for the past 4.5 years. And then I started speed leveling like a year ago or so. I started doing it first as a hunter with Johanna's guide, and then I just got more into it and started making my own guides and working on that and just leveling myself. And yeah, been doing that for the last 6 months, almost every day, just trying to improve my times and learn the most optimal ways.
Absolutely. And just super nice people too. Like, just for whatever it's worth, guys, if you like my channel, out of rankers in general, when it comes to like basically elite players in general, when they're playing at top levels, like oftentimes are kind of insular and sometimes maybe like not super friendly, I have to say. But Sorrana and Tactics, these guys are big brains, but they're super friendly, wholesome people, man. Like probably the friendliest ranker I've ever met, Sorrana, to be honest. Friendliest rank 14 player I ever met, dude. It's just it's amazing.
Sometimes I have my 5 minutes.
Yeah, and Tactics too. Like, you know, people that know the speed leveling strats and stuff like that too, oftentimes they try and keep it to themselves, right? They try and lock it up and just keep it, you know, behind lock and key. Just wears his heart out on his sleeve. All the information super transparent, loves to share with the community. Also streaming. All these guys are streaming too, so we're gonna put all their channel information down in there. So Dustbone is sort of a big boy PvE player, Tactics on the speed leveling front, and then Sorrana on PvP. I mean, you got the whole circuit right here, guys. This is some dream team right here. So anyways, guys, these guys, you know, big shout out to these guys for being here right now. It's tough to get people together to do stuff like this, so just please support them in any way. Anyway, we're gonna get into this. Prepared some kind of somewhat ghetto slides, but we will get into it. So the first talking point of the day is I want to just kind of feel out where you guys are at with regard to rogues in 112 or 113, as that's the environment they're technically calling it right now. And maybe after we get your general thoughts, we can talk about why someone should play a rogue and why shouldn't they, or you know, who is this class for and who is it not for, something like that. Either way, just anyone hop in. What do you think your overall feelings of rogue in the vanilla environment we're about to play?
Okay, so the reason why you would play rogue, I would say if you enjoy world PvP is a big reason. Just because they have, like, especially if you like 1v1s and just open world, going into duels, that's like one of the scummy things that a lot of rogues do, but that's like one of the big reasons why I personally love playing rogue. Because I like being like a little bit of the scumbag on the server, or like being known for being a little bit annoying, or whatever you want to call it. So if I meet someone, and this is of course when I reach 60, I don't really do it while speed leveling, then I want to be that annoying guy that kills you while, and if I see someone else, leave my mount stealth and go wait for him to pull him up and kill him. That's just my thing, I guess, but I think a lot of rogues like this kind of playstyle. So if you like being that annoying guy, that's a big reason to go play rogue.
Oh, 100%. If you're not into the speed leveling thing and I see someone questing, I'll follow them for 10, 15 minutes waiting for the opportune moment.
Makes sense. I mean, that's that. I love how they own it, dude. That's the reputation rogues have. They're just owning it. They're that scumbag. You're sitting there, and then, you know, you're killing some silverback gorillas in Stranglethorn, and, you know, you're 50%. You know, you're always thinking as a warlock, there's a rogue behind me. And then one time you actually are lacking for 1 second. You're at 50%, and then freaking rogue opens up with Thistlety and kills you. Anyway, Makes sense. Do you guys feel? Oh, Sorrana, what are your initial thoughts? Sorry, man.
Well, I'm too much of a German to be to do the ganking while leveling. I'm always in this mindset of being efficient, you know.
Yeah.
So whenever I see someone who's not attacking or ganking me, I just pass him and do my shit. So I'm faster at leveling, because actually I'm pretty bad in my speeds at leveling. So I try to be as fast as I can and not wasting any time on PvP while leveling.
Absolutely.
I'll
But
admit,
once-
I don't do that either. I wait until 60.
Yeah, you don't
but
you don't
yeah.
really do it. That's what you, yeah.
when
once
you
I'm
reach
60,
60, that's when you want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell
that's when you
breaks
go mess with
loose.
people. So real quick, Klaz, and we got another Twitch Prime sub as well in here. Thayru, thank you so much for joining the channel, guys. Welcome to the channel, guys. Appreciate your support. So do you guys feel rogues are strong in a 112 environment? Here's the thing, guys. One's in the chat if you heard this whole World of Roguecraft thing. Rogues back in OG Vanilla, I mean, they were terrifying. It felt like one of the most populated classes. It felt like everybody was playing rogues. And there's all those memes, World of Roguecraft, and, you know, again, one of the most populated classes. But Vanilla changed over the course of many different patches and stuff like that. How do you feel rogues are in this environment? Do you feel they're strong?
Well, I think the World of Roguecraft, especially part 1, when they discovered the stun lock, was kind of, I mean, it was even when the game didn't have diminishing returns, I think. So that was kind of fixed later then, because the double blind just wasn't as long as it was in a part 1. And I think like the player skill and the meta of the game changed so rapidly over the last years that most of the players just aren't that bad that you can pull those things on them.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are prepared now for all the shenanigans that rogues can do. And if they're, as long as they keep their composure when they're getting opened on, they can get out of certain things much easier than they could back.
Twisted Sweet, thank you very much for the Kronas, man. Your everyday a-hole, the rogue lifestyle. Oh man, that's one thing too, though. From the outside looking in, someone who that doesn't really have much experience with the rogue. As much as I hate on rogues and stuff, I was asking Scarm the other day about speed clears and knacks, right? And he's a main tank or was tanking in some capacity.
The rogue lifestyle.
In Salad Bakers, speed clear and knacks, and I was asking him what the meters look like at the very tip top end of play. And I was hoping there's going to be some purple up there, but he was like, nah, man, it's all warriors, but there's some splashes of yellow, man. And I feel like that's the case when I look at the damage meters at every stage. There's always these rogues that keep up and are dealing massive damage in raids. You always see yellow up there, man. Rogues do some damage.
Yeah, but that might change now when there's parry. I believe it's 5% more parry or something like that from the bosses, and you're also going to have less crit than on private servers. So we might see a little bit less of the warrior and rogue, but I still think it will be at the top for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you consider parry, they can only parry if you attack from the front, and that
exactly
rarely happens. And I think Dustbone can also relate. You have these big times as a melee throughout Oni, MC, BWL, and then comes a big hole into AQ because all the mages are ticking the ignite to infinity and beyond. And if you get some tier 3 later in Nax and some good weapons in KT, after a while you start to show up again in the damage.
Yeah, you also have a lot of melee. Just AQ is just rough on melee because we're running out in and out of everything, where mages are just blowing life up. So it's tough, but we can hold our own once we get some gear towards the later stages. But early on, we scale so much better than everybody else. I feel it personally.
Yeah. One thing I will say too. So I used to say this back in the day, like, okay, why would I not just roll a warrior instead of a rogue, right? And I used to be kind of like, just thick-skulled and just thinking that way, like, dude, I would just play warrior if I wanted to play this type of play style. But then the more and more I've thought about it, like, I found stuff that I've gotten to really like about rogues. One, I really enjoy that ambush sort of dagger style of leveling. Two, I feel like overall, you're kind of like a more self-reliant warrior to a certain extent. Like, you have more the ability to be more self-reliant than a warrior, right? Would you guys agree with that as far as rogues?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Like, warrior needs someone to help them, and you see this a lot in battlegrounds as well and stuff like that. They're just they're better in group fights than a rogue, but rogue is better in solo plays. So a warrior will be like in the front line and can actually do stuff, while a rogue is trying to like stealth and try to get like someone in the big fights, but they can't really go in because they just get dotted or whatever.
We're good at peeling too for mobs, like quick blind on a target that's hitting your healer in a group or a dungeon environment, stuff like that. Like we can peel and stun lock casters down pretty effectively, where a warrior can't.
Rogues are like tricksters to me too, man. Like they always have something up their sleeve. They'll throw a little dust in your eyes and blind you and vanish, and they'll poison your drink and it's like also when it comes to farming too, leveling, whatever aspect of the game you're thinking of, it seems like they just have a little more self-reliance than warriors in any aspect. Even when it comes to farming, you can still do stuff solo, right? And we're gonna get into that later, like pickpocketing and some of the cool stuff like that. There's some stuff to love, the unique rogue professions and stuff, like with poisons and pickpocketing. Anyway, okay, that's the initial thing. So we'll move on to the next slide, guys. And if you have any questions, this is a live guide, guys. So if you have any questions, think about it though. Don't just ask a shallow one, but a shallow question. Really try and dig deep and think about stuff you want to know, because we're gonna be playing Classic in a week. Either DM me or put it in the chat, and we'll see if we can get to it. Okay, so let's talk about rogues and racials. Rogues and racials real quick. Probably don't have to spend too much time on it. But there's the interactions with weapon skills and how important that is. There's PvP, there's PvE. We can touch on it real quick. Sorrana, what's your perspective on rogues and races?
Okay, races is a hot topic. I don't know much about horde races, so I focus myself on PvP. But in a nutshell, on Alliance, you want to go human because weapon skill is just huge in PvE. In PvP, you want to go gnome or even night elf, and I can explain night elf maybe a little bit later if we have some more time and why that is. And dwarf, I mean, for me personally, dwarf as a rogue is not so worth like a gnome or night elf would be.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. From a PvP point, even PvE gnome I found was really, really useful. I mean, obviously human is just OG, but escape artist is just so good. It's just so good.
I hate dwarves, but that's because I'm a rogue myself, I guess. Because they can stop my blind.
Right. Yep.
I hate orcs.
But yeah, I can imagine. Like for horde, it's pretty simple. Or it's orc or undead. It depends what you like. A lot of PvPers say they like undead more. Personally, I like orc more, and that's because there's a few reasons. Basically, your trinket is already gonna stop a fear, but it doesn't stop stuns. So I feel like the orc racial is very beneficial as a rogue when you have no other ways to stop stuns. And so then you
no lapse till phase 4. I didn't actually know that. So the rogue trinket not breaking stuns. Warlocks were in the same boat. Our trinket doesn't break stuns, so very good to know. Yeah, I think that values.
Yeah. The orc racial is very, very strong. And from a PvE point of view, it's just the 25% just flat attack power is huge.
I saw a Reddit post recently, which I was surprised about, but actually, if you use Troll's passive, the most efficient way, it will be more DPS than the Orcs racial. But no one really goes Trolls or talks about them. And it's even better if you're a Seal Fate Troll for PvE, because then your DPS is just way higher as a Troll for Seal Fate than what it would be for like other classes because of that extra attack speed.
But Seal Fate is very late in progression, right?
Yeah,
like you need a lot of hit and crits to make it work.
Yeah. But it's still pretty interesting because no one really goes Troll. Everyone is always undead or Orc, and the fact that Troll is actually the best leveling class as a rogue because of their regeneration and the 5% beast damage, and they also will probably be the best PvE class if you only care about PvE.
Yeah,
but I don't think a lot of people will go for it.
You think that they're better than you think Trolls better in PvE than Orcs?
Yeah,
if utilized the right way.
Okay.
I can definitely see. I actually named Orc or Troll in Classic. I was one of the only Troll rogues I'd ever.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
one more
interesting.
thing. One more thing about Orc is you have to consider how many fears there are in the game and how many stuns you have in the game that could affect you. And there's way more stuns. So the chance that you actually can, or that you get CC'd by a stun is higher than you get CC'd by a fear. So that might make you take it over an undead rogue.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it also just makes people not want to use their stunts on you when you're an orc. Like, it's just in the back of their mind, if a paladin is going to use it on you or the undead, he's going to choose the undead before you, just because he doesn't want to risk the resist.
And you have to
That's
consider
another reason.
It's additional 25%. So you have the 5% base, which
Yeah,
makes
I
it
know.
30% in total. So that's
It's like 1 out of 20 chance, or 1 out of 3 to get resist. It's like so big that they just don't want to use this stunts on you.
insane. Yeah.
So also, Sorrana, back in the day, well, your rank 14 character was a night elf, huh? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, back
True.
in the day, I remember you explained this to the stream months and months and months ago. But it was the first time I heard about night elf rogues and that the advantages of night elf rogues. And there's a couple different things that come to mind. Maybe you could share that with the people too, people that are looking to play one.
So okay, the thing with the Night Elf racial is the Shadow Meld. If you read the tooltip, the Shadow Meld tooltip tells you that you have the increased stealth bonus as a passive. So whenever you stealth as a rogue, you have just a higher stealth level than everyone else. And in numbers, that's +5. So it's basically you get +5 to your stealth level every time you level up. So when you level up from 1 to 2, let's say level 1 to 2, you get 5 points into your stealth level. So basically, if you are at 60, that equals into 300 stealth points. And if you are a night elf, you have 305 stealth points. So everyone who's just looking for you searches for basically a level 61 character to see in terms of space stealth level. So the thing with this is, if you go hardcore PvP and you go dagger PvP like I do every time, you have this one talent called Master of Deception. It has 5 talent points to spend on, and it is a huge quality improvement to your life as a rogue because it also increases your stealth level. So in a nutshell, if you are a night elf, you only need to spend 3 points into it, and you have the same stealth level like someone who would spend 5 points into it, so you can spend those 2 saved points somewhere else in the
Wow,
talents.
so another way of looking at the racial is that you get 2 more flexible talent points as a night elf. Sort of.
Yeah.
Cool. That's really
you can
cool.
reinvest those 2 points somewhere else. Every other dagger rogue either has to go 5 into it to make it work or leave it out as a whole. But once you play without Master of Deception, you go enrage. I think it's not working out in the pre-made pretty good.
How do you guys feel about that tactics and Dust? Is that
That's
No,
interesting. I
it's-
didn't
it's
even know
very
about it.
interesting. I knew about that from one of the old PvP guys you guys did, months ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, plus, I mean, you get backflip, or front flip. So front flip's
True.
awesome on Night Elves.
True, exactly.
It's all about
the aesthetics,
about
dude. It's all
looking
about
fun.
aesthetics,
Of course.
man. What if you were to get 5 out of 5 of the Master of Deception and get that stealth bonus? If you were to do a mirror match like Rogue v Rogue, would you just be finding the dude first every time? Is there a point of getting just more more increased stealth level?
Well, you can increase it even more with like items like boots and shit, like the class quest boost from the temple. Yeah, for example. Also, you can counter it with like Cat's Eye Elixir and so on. If you go to Classic DB and you search the items with the stealth increase or decrease, you can see the value, how much it increases and decreases actually. So you can calculate yourself how much or how many, let's say, character levels you raise or sink to see someone. And anyone who just ran through a low level zone, like when you are 60 Alliance and you go through Barons, you see level 10 rogues from ages ago, right? You can, as they were never stealthed. So that's how you basically can compare it. It's not that high, the range, but the more levels you are above someone, the harder time they have to see you.
Interesting. Okay.
It's the same with perception. It's basically 10 levels. I just googled it to see the exact thing. So that's also pretty interesting.
And Vanish is like 145 increase of points, so that's like 14 levels, nearly 15
But
levels.
beta is way different regarding stealth. It's way harder for mobs to see you and players to see you.
Even better
compared to private servers. But I also think perception is way stronger. Like they can see you way further away as well. I think it maybe like the stealth or points or whatever has a distance in classic. So when you have like a bigger stealth detection, you can also see them way further away than private server. Like it increases the distance as well instead of just you being able to see them close to you only. So that's a big difference.
I see. Well, what about the active use of Shadow Meld, Sorrana? Is there any tips and tricks with that, or is that kind of a meme for Rogue? You know, the actual on use.
Well, the only real use I find quite interesting is that whenever you use Shadow Meld, your stealth cooldown can run off. So whenever you are out of combat and fuck up your stealth or leave your stealth, you have a little cooldown, which is basically 10 seconds. If you skill it like down to 5, it's 5 seconds. But usually, like, you can stay in Shadow Meld, let the cooldown run off, and then swap into stealth and move again. It's especially kind of good if you don't go into improved Zap, because in Vanilla and Classic, Zap removes your stealth. So whenever you zap someone and you haven't it skilled into improved Zap, you just swap into Shadow Meld. You're still not visible for anyone who just comes by. And you just wait those few seconds.
Wait. You can sap and Shadow Meld and be fine, like with an
no,
untalented...
you immediately Shadow Meld after you zap. Basically, you lose your stealth with the zap and then just Shadow Meld. You have to be stationary, of course, because you cannot move in Shadow Meld. But you can wait
this will
in
work
Shadow
with
Meld.
mobs, though, right? With like you
can you macro that?
You can do that
private?
in a dungeon, though, right?
Or...
Like, could you do that in a dungeon? You sap something and immediately Shadow Meld and be and CC it effectively.
Depends. No, that
No, right.
I think the mobs that are watching you on the aggro range would instantly attack you.
Right.
That might actually work on the beta though, because on the beta it does both things at the same time. Like you can just make a macro to cheap shot and pickpocket at the same time.
True.
And stuff
True,
like that.
because of the batching. Yeah. True.
Yeah, exactly.
Something to try on, but I have no beta.
Yeah, I haven't tested that.
It's over now, man. Interesting, dude. So okay. Moving forward from races, is there something to love for every race as a rogue? Taking a look at them now, human, dwarf, night elf, gnome.
Yeah, I think all of them have their...
Actually, yeah.
All of them have their strong points depending on what you want to focusing on.
Yeah. What about dwarf, dude? Dwarf. Let's. I mean, you can.
They're good at 1v1
poison...
versus other rogues, and they can stop some other dots, I believe.
Devouring Plague.
The poison resisting is really, or the removing of poisons is really nice. Even in raiding environments like AQ, it helps out.
It's poisons, diseases, and bleeds, right? But bleeds, I don't feel bleeds tick that high in Vanilla or Classic that it would be a threat to kill you. And if you're that low that it would kill you, you will die anyway. So that's my point with Dwarf, and it's so situational. If it's only to remove poisons, like if a hunter shoots you with the serpent sting shit in PvP, he will most likely auto you as well. So just using it to get a clean vanish off, I don't know if that's worth it. But I think races are very much personal preference.
That's cool. You love to see that when you have flexibility, you know, and you can choose the race, you know, based on your personal preferences. All right. So also, okay, last thing before we move on, but this is for Hunter. Yeah. So I don't know if it applies to Rogan directly the same way, but there's this 1% sort of hit or crit suppression thing that we're dealing with now, and I was under the impression that the bow skill on trolls, for example, the weapon skill, wasn't going to be that high impact. But then I linked up with shout out to the Thick from the guild, and I was talking with some of the Hunter Discord, and people were saying that the impact of weapon skill is equivalent to 3% hit. 3% hit. Is that something that's going to apply to rogues? Like a 3% hit from getting swords? And I mean, there's also the glancing blow effect, right? You know, so the other thing is, you know, the additional weapon skill is going to increase the amount of damage you do when you deal glancing blows. You get that 40% static chance of glancing blows. What do you guys think about the weapon skill impact? Big deal?
From a PvE point, the weapon skill is always a big deal. It's why humans are basically on top of everybody else. But there's items and stuff that can kind of counteract it to make it not as relevant. Once you get to your soft hit cap, you're fine. I mean, until you start getting much better gear and raising your crit and whatnot, then you'll just want to increase that. But overall, it is a big deal, but it's something that's very manageable.
Okay. All right. Anyway, let's move on from there. So let's talk about leveling. We got tactics in the house, man. Rogue leveling. Where do we start? Noob mistakes to avoid is something I want to hear about. Here's one thing that stuck out to me when I linked up with you a while that was very interesting to me. Your weapon progression while leveling. And guys, listen up if you're in the chat interested in playing Rogue and leveling. Your weapon progression was crazy, man. You're bopping all over the place using all kinds of weapons, man. What are your
So early game, I just changed as much as possible, but later on, I'm not really sure why this is, but it feels like early in the beta, it's really easy to get the weapon skills, but later on, when you hit like 30, 40, your weapon skill goes up slower, because I tried in the beta where I changed my weapon to a mace at 39, and it just went up super slow. I couldn't do anything for like 5 bars. But early game, you just get it instantly, because you can spam your Sinister Strikes. Each Sinister Strike costs 8 energy, so you basically just have an instant attack every second, every global cooldown that gives you a chance of having a skill up, on top of you having like 2 weapons. I always go like, if I want to skill up my maces, I go double maces, so you skill it up really quickly early game with Sinister Strikes and double maces. And that's why it's viable for Rogue to switch so much, in my opinion, compared to other classes like Warrior, where you have to like skill all the way up and you have to try to hamstring or whatever to get to skill up. So
yeah,
that's the reason I just switched as much as possible. I just wanted the best weapon as possible early on.
And he's buying all the white vendor weapons. He's switching from swords, daggers, maces, really utilizing everything, right?
Yeah,
As you're leveling.
I try to avoid dagger. It's only really early game when you have no other choices, and then I just switch to sword and mace, because that's where that's the slow weapons that has a lot of damage.
Okay.
On the main hand.
Gotcha. Makes sense. And do you do the same thing, Sorrana or Dustbone? Do you guys switch between maces and swords and all that while leveling? That was kind of news to me, man.
Yeah, I mean, it also all depends on how you're leveling and what you're doing. Like, I'm potentially leveling with a group of people, so I'm going to be able to pick up a lot of the quest item weapons, so it's definitely changing my weapon progression path that I wouldn't be using if I was leveling.
Yeah, so well, I'm probably the worst leveler here, so I just take whatever comes into my mind is better for me when getting stats and so on. On my leveling route, I practice at the moment from 1 to 15. I just get a nice mace in Dunmorroth, and I stick to that until 15. And usually I get my first sword in like Dead Mines, but I just guess from the logic way of thinking that until you actually get into sword spec, doesn't really matter what you have in your main hand.
Yeah.
And daggers is just avoidable because you cannot front step anymore, so it's a huge waste of time doing the gouge backstep thingy. Unless you are in a group. I don't know if you are really group leveling 100% of the time, I think backstep could be even more DPS. Just backstepping until you reach like 40 where you get adrenaline rush or something.
Interesting.
Yeah, we've tested it. A lot of the time at the lower levels, you're mass pulling stuff, so I found out I was always tanking something.
Now, Tactics, you were saying that you weren't one of the hottest trends right now in leveling is dungeon cleave, right? Whether it be spell cleave or melee cleave or whatever.
Yeah.
You're not super. So we tested it together.
No,
on the beta,
I
right?
hate it. I hate it.
Why you went from kinda liking it a little bit though, and now you hate it? What is going on?
I don't want it to be good because I feel like for me it shouldn't be the fastest way to level. I don't mind it being like a little bit slower than other stuff, but I personally feel like on launch a lot of people will fail regarding grouping up in dungeons, and that's mainly because everyone has to have the same sleep schedule for 7 days. No one can have an issue where someone, yeah, the PC breaks or someone can't be at the PC for whatever personal reasons. But especially on the big servers where if one guy DCs and you have like a 12-hour login queue, that just fucks up the whole group. And especially after the first day, if there still is the queue times, and they go to sleep, and then someone's PC turns off or whatever, it's just so many things that can fuck up the leveling process of dungeon spamming.
Yeah, and you don't want to be waiting around. You know, you don't want to be waiting around waiting for someone in
No.
a 2-hour queue, right? That's a
No,
real
yeah.
possibility. From
It's definitely in the back of my mind as I'm right now scheduled to level with a group of people. We've been doing a lot of testing, we're doing a lot of practice, but you don't factor in for the inevitable queues and just random life happening. So it's definitely something that should be in the back of everyone's mind if they're group leveling.
So tactics. You're leveling solo, right?
Yeah, I also feel like it's way easier to dungeon level than doing it solo. Like being optimal as a dungeon leveler versus a solo leveler, it's like way easier to figure out how to do it. Of course, you have to be 5 people focused at all times, and there's a lot of downsides. But it just seems way easier in terms of you don't have to route everything perfectly and play everything perfectly all the way, because there's more people.
Yep. There's a lot of micromanagement when it comes to questing too. It's stressful, dude. We're always thinking the next step. It's very taxing on you mentally. So my question to you, first of all, I think my money, as far as like maybe a world first rogue, I think tactics is in the money, dude. I don't really know anybody else who's been practicing. Like tactics has been practicing. He has his own guide coming out, a subscriber only version of it. I think you're in the running for, you know, world first rogue 60. But what would you recommend? I mean, let's say if there's just someone new to rogue right now and they want to play rogue for the first time and they haven't done even 1% of the practice that you've done on your roots and everything like that, what do you think the way to go for them is?
I don't think dungeon leveling is the way to go, first of all, because I think unless they are really, really serious about it and they have like the perfect group that all is serious, you all have the same sleep schedule and all that stuff, that's the only reason you would want to go dungeon leveling. And you have to be sure that none of them will have issues. So maybe like you have to have each other's phone numbers. You need to like have everything prepared regarding that stuff, and you have to have backups too, like because you need to be sure if you want to dungeon level that it's gonna work.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would rather go with like a good guide or figure something out similar to that. The biggest noob mistakes to avoid would probably be going stealth. I think that's the biggest mistake I see every rogue doing while leveling. Because they try to do an opener and they end up using 7 seconds or 10 seconds on each mob going stealth to use a cheap shot like a road or something similar. But that it doesn't add more than 1 or 2 seconds to the killing blow. So they end up wasting so much time trying to go stealth on each mob. That's like the biggest noob mistake that I would say 90% of rogue levelers does right now.
Makes sense. You guys hear that, dude? Don't go stealth. It definitely felt that same way with Druid, too, when I was leveling a Druid recently. Like, you just walk up to it. It's just better. It's faster. But this is a really good section. Dustbone, Sorrana, too. Any noob mistakes when it comes to leveling a rogue? Noob mistakes. Just, like, think about...
I think early on, people don't utilize their throwing weapon to aggro mobs and closer to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't
On
realize it.
beta, Thrones does twice as much damage as on private servers almost, because it's actually increased with attack power. So the Thrones deals so much damage.
It's sick. During the stress test, man, the throwing weapons crit like level 1 or 2, like 24. Like,
Yeah. I
sick.
go and buy Thrones instantly when I leave the starting zone, because it's so strong.
Yeah. Also, I would add slice and dice. At 10, you get slice and dice. From my perspective, I don't know if Tactics agrees. Slice and dice, like the white damage is what boosts your DPS, and slice.
I don't
and
actually
dice,
go for it.
You don't
But
take. Like,
I agree with using it. Sometimes the way I use slice and dice is when I'm about to overkill a mob, I would rather use slice and dice at the end of a mob than overkilling the mob and start at the new mob. That's how I try to use slice and dice. Almost.
I do the same thing. Yeah, you don't want to.
So if so if you have like an eviscerate with 4 stacks and you know your eviscerate will deal twice as much damage because you have a crit on your sinister strike or something similar, your auto attack, then you rather use slice and dice and just pull the next mob and have your whole slice and dice on the next mob overkilling them up.
That makes sense. But what about just a single mob that you're going to attack of appropriate level? Let's say you're in the Badlands, you're walking up to a little wolf walking around. Are you going to slice and dice with one combo point, or are you just going to go straight for the Sinister Strike into Eviscerate?
I don't do it, but I do think it could be worth it. I actually never really calculated out the exact thing. On beta, it seems better than on private server. I didn't think it was worth it on private server, but on beta, because your hit rate seems high on every single mob with your auto attacks, it seems a little bit better because you actually have a higher chance of hitting the auto attack which is the extra attack you get from slice and dice.
Yeah, especially if you get at that point where you actually spec into your hit talents and combat tree, I might think it is worth using. Because white damage just carries so much. It's insane. It doesn't seem that much because you don't see the big numbers popping up, but over time, it just adds up. And that's what raid logs show you as well.
Yeah.
Interesting. Also, so what would you prefer? Who has it hardest, rogue or warrior, while solo leveling? What do you guys think about that?
Oh, that's hard. Early on, for sure, warrior. Like, way worse early. But
yeah,
I think later on,
maybe
they
after,
are
like
better.
40.
Until sweeping strikes, I think it's a pain.
Yeah.
But I never played warrior myself, so
I
judge.
leveled a warrior to 45. That's the highest. That's the only alliance character I've ever leveled to high level. That was 45 warrior. And
Gotcha.
You have
I don't know,
no shit button. That's the worst. If you misjudge,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
when you engage something and you misjudged it, you're dead.
Well, I guess retaliation could be a no shit button.
Piercing Howl, kind of a no shit button, sort of. Just run away and piercing
Yeah,
Howl.
I mean, yeah, you can just hamstring kite, maybe.
Yeah. Well,
But
I
mean,
think the reason... Yeah, you can go.
I'm wondering
if
like,
you pull a whole camp, it's just vanish, as a rogue.
True.
Yeah,
True.
I think the reason that warrior is known for being the hardest, actually, like from the community standpoint, is because rogue has so many tools to escape, while warrior, if the average player, which it might be a little bit worse, they will just die. Like, it's just that simple. They have no way. They can't vanish out. They can't blind out. They can't gouge and run or sprint. They have no way. If they don't know that they should use a slow or something like that, then they're just gonna die. And that's why warrior is famous for being the worst leveling class. And a lot of people die on warrior while leveling.
So how do you feel about rogue leveling in general? Like, do you feel like it's a rough journey to 60? Like, is it very, is it rough? Or, I mean, is it, because that, a lot of people feel that way, that rogue leveling is rough. There's a lot of gouge bandaging, there's a lot of downtime, a lot of eating. Or do you guys feel pretty good about rogue leveling?
I think that's bad. But I think if you... Like... The thing is, the biggest mistake is when they use guides that have to kill higher level mobs. That rogue is so terrible at that.
Oh, it's got.
And that's why they're bad. Like if you try to go kill a mob that's 3 or 4 levels higher, and you have to kill these mobs, it's not gonna work as a rogue. You have to be close to your level when you're killing the mobs. Otherwise, they're just gonna be bad. So they are not super bad if you just have. If you're just killing mobs near your level, then they can work. But otherwise, you're gonna have big problems.
I see. So are you guys all combat swords guys all the way for solo? I think that's the way.
Yes.
There's no alternative, basically. I mean, you
On
can
private,
go
you
Demo
could,
at some
but-
point. Yeah, you could go dagger because of the front stabbing stuff.
Yeah, but not anymore.
Yeah, we're gonna
And
talk about.
Hemo, I think, is more if when you get to STV, and if you would like world PvP, you could go for it. It's worse, but it is possible to go into like a little bit more PvP talent and just try to PvP around while leveling. If you really like PvPing and you don't care about rushing to 60, but it's just way worse if you want to level fast.
Yeah. Plus, this
basically.
time you don't even get honor because phase 1.
Oh
no
yeah,
honor.
true. There's no point.
With no honor, there's just no point. Yeah, might as well just go combat and level.
Yeah.
And one fair note: if you get jumped while being combat, imp sprint might help a bit, but you might lose.
Like now when there's no honor, you just go into improved sprint if you're a little bit behind, and then you just run away every time and vanish. That's the way to go now, without honor.
Yeah.
If you don't care about the PvP itself, at least.
Makes sense. Can you take me through your leveling build, man? As we all go through our specific departments there, Dusty can help us with the PvE build, Sorrana can help us with the PvP build. If you were trying, gun to your head, trying to race to world first rogue, man, and personal bias that you're playing for $1 million, dude. Freaking, what's his name, dude? The Ian Hazakasas is gonna write you a check for $1 million if you got world first rogue. World first rogue, man. What how would you count it out?
Okay, so first you go 2 into Remorseless,
Okay.
which is in the Assassin tree.
Yep.
Yep. Then you go 2 times into Sinister Strike.
2 times, okay.
Because then it costs 40. Yeah,
we got it,
that's
yeah.
in the combat.
Yeah, there might be a little delay on the stream, but I got it. Yeah, 2 points into Sinister Strike.
Then 3 times into Gouge.
Okay, increases effect duration.
Okay,
Gouge by
so
1.5.
this is a really interesting point, which I changed literally 3 days ago. I made the biggest calculation out like 2 days ago via my Discord, because everyone has been talking about, oh, hit rate is better, and I've believed that myself for the past 4 months. I used to go riposte first, which is going into the parry and then riposte. But I calculated out like 2 days ago, and actually you don't go for the hit rate, which I've been doing for the past 4 months.
Oh.
So you actually go parry into riposte, and that's more damage than the hit rate.
Quick question: How is it in the beta? Can you use riposte on mobs that don't have weapons?
Yes, you can. Don't have weapons? Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Okay.
You can use it on everyone, because... Yeah, you can. I never had a mob that couldn't use it on.
That works because I can do it on the rock guys in
Yeah.
Okay.
Because of the
Badlands and
disarm.
stuff like that.
So before tactics, you were going 5 into precision first, and delaying riposte by a whole 5 levels. That was the
No.
before.
Before I went into 5 times hit rate, yeah.
Yeah. So you
And
okay
then I went afterwards. I went deflection.
into riposte.
No, so now I go riposte first.
Yeah. Okay. So you go 5 out of 5 deflection right into riposte, and then into hit after.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Great.
And it's just a little bit more DPS. It's close to the same, but you get the 5% parry, which is less damage, and you get the 20% slow when you riposte and the disarm. So it's just a little bit better. The only times where hit will be better would be if you farm a lot of sorcerers, like mages or whatever, that doesn't auto attack you. Then the hit rate will be better,
Please
because
talk
it
about
increases your
dagger
damage,
builds
while
in
riposte
details.
doesn't proc very
Thanks.
often.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Gotcha.
riposte is so cheap.
Oh yeah,
10
it's so
energy.
good.
Thanks for
Yeah,
the 2 bucks,
10
Eli.
energy.
Do you guys have any, contention up until this point, Dusty or Sorrana? Or are you guys kind of on the same page? Anything? Nothing too crazy yet, right? Or
The only thing I change is, since I'm again doing a leveling group at the moment, I don't pick up remorseless attacks because I probably won't be getting the killing blows over some board.
Yep, you need.
We
to
could
get the
go
killing blow.
into a dungeon talent tree afterwards, I guess.
Yeah, we should do that with daggers.
This is fine.
Yeah.
As far as leveling goes, like this is basically
Yeah.
what you would do.
We'll go through a quick daggers build after too. Okay, so once I get to 4 points in precision, it opens up dagger specialization, and I assume based on what you've been saying, you don't
You
do
still
that,
go
right?
position, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Into dual wield
And then
specialization.
you go 4 times into the offhand.
Okay.
40% extra damage.
All right.
No, actually, I changed my talent level 28, which would be... Is
1
that
point.
3 times?
Yeah, 1 point to dual wield specialization. You're at 28 required level 28.
Yeah, so at 28, I retalent, because that's when I'm in Orgrimmar. You want to do it at 30, though. And the reason for that is because I want Blade Fury at 30. I don't want it at 32. So instead of... I'm in 1000 heals from 28 to 31. So then I would miss 1 level of Blade Flurry. So I retalent at 20, but you want to do it at 30 to get the Blade Flurry as soon as possible, because Blade Flurry just doubles your time, or like, I think it increases your killing speed by 20% or something like that.
Wow. Okay. So
So
you
every time you kill 5 mobs before, you kill 6 mobs now.
So you're taking the points out of remorseless attacks to get it right at 30 on the dot, pretty much. So you need respect.
Yeah, yeah, and I do that at 28. Yes.
Okay, so let me go through that just to make sure we can get there. So here we go. Oh no, you're going. Action. Okay, so you're 30 and you have Blade Flurry secured that at 30. Are you going back into remorseless attacks first, right after at 30?
Yes, I go 2 times into that.
Okay.
Because that is so important. Blade Flurry with Remorseless is like the best thing ever. Because when you kill a mob, then the next mob, because you always pull two with Blade Flurry, then you will crit on the next mob that you're already in fight with, which might have like 200, 300 health left. So then that will crit, and you're gonna one-shot the mob.
Okay.
So it's really good combination.
So after picking back up 2 in Remorseless, do you finish off dual wield?
I finish up, yes I do.
Or do you go sword?
I would go for that before sword.
Before
I go
sword.
50%.
Okay.
No, 50%. 5 into the dual wield
Gotcha.
first.
Yep.
And then I go 4 times into sword, I believe. Yes.
3 opens up weapon expertise and aggression, but these don't really do much for you. You're just gonna finish off sword.
Yeah. No, I go. Wait, it should be 4 times. Oh, is it 3?
Yeah, it's 3. 3 opens it up to the next tier.
Oh yeah, it is. It is 3. Yeah, correct. And then I go 2 times into the expertise. So I go 3 into that, and then 2 times into expertise. Then I go 2 times into sword again. Then I believe it's 1 time into the one below. That's like 2% more.
So while leveling, is there any way you could explain the impact of weapon expertise while leveling increases your skill with swords, fist, and dagger weapons?
It basically makes you be 1 level higher. It's like before you get the 2 points when you're level 4. When you're level 40, your hit rate and your damage, because your wide hit damage on the beta actually decreases based on weapon skills. So if you're attacking like a mob that's 5 level higher, your wide hit is gonna be 1 and 5 damage and stuff like that. It's gonna be so low. It's only your yellow hits that actually deals damage. So all this stuff will increase when you get higher weapon skill, which is super important.
That's amazing.
That's like one of the most important.
Such a clean way of looking at it. Because like as from the outside looking in, yo, one's in the chat. Yo, be honest if you didn't know what this did, man. Like while leveling, weapon expertise. One's in the chat if you like. While leveling, you may just be like, is this a non-factor? Is this some endgame thing? But that's such a clean way of thinking of it. You get 2 in weapon expertise, and it's like being 1 level higher against the mobs you're fighting. I love that, dude. I love
Yes,
that.
basically.
I love that.
It's so strong.
So strong. And then you finish
especially
off sword?
when you're attacking higher level mobs, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're going to kill a mob that's 5 levels higher before, now it's actually only 4 levels higher. Except the defense, of course, is still gonna hit you more. But in terms of the damage you deal, it's only 4 levels difference then.
That's so cool, man. And do you finish off sword spec after this, or do you go into aggression?
Yeah, I finish off sword spec, and then I go into the one below 1 time, and then I go adrenaline rush.
Adrenaline rush. Now this is a big cooldown,
Yes.
though. This is something that you just use on cooldown
It's so
every time.
good.
Every time.
Basically, I do it like this either. So Blade Flurry, it has a 2-minute cooldown. But I make it have a 2.5-minute cooldown. Then I will either use evasion, adrenaline rush, and Blade Flurry at the same time. Every 2.5 minutes basically, and then the other 2.5 minutes I'll just use a solo Blade Flurry. Or I'll use 1 Blade Flurry, 1 evasion, and then 2.5 minutes later I'll use Blade Flurry and Adrenaline Rush. It depends on the situation. If you can pull 3 mobs and you can just burst them down with the evasion and Adrenaline Rush and Blade Flurry, you want to pull 3.
Pull
but if you only feel
mobs,
like pulling,
dude. That doesn't sound very roguelike. That's pretty cool that you can do that.
with evasion you can,
Yeah.
because you don't take damage, right?
Yeah.
But if at some places you can only pull 2 mobs, and then you just want to save like the evasion and Blade Flurry, and then 2.5 minutes later the Adrenaline Rush and Blade Flurry.
Okay. So after Adrenaline Rush, do you finish off Aggression, or do you move over to Assassination? Aggression is the one right above it. You finish that?
Yeah. I usually don't actually. Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
I go straight into 5
Malice?
crit.
Okay.
Yes.
Sweet. 5 crit. Alright. What's next after 5 crit? We have Murder, 2% on humanoids, beasts. That's a lot of what you're killing, man. I wonder how high impact that is, dude. Just a flat 2% damage increase on the majority of mobs you're killing.
I like Murder quite a bit, and it even scales in your beginning raid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go Murder twice, and then Slice and Dice once.
Okay. Then lethality,
And
or
then
do you
I
go for
go,
the relentless strikes? This is something that's I have no. This is something. Oh yeah. Okay. How do you feel about relentless
I
strikes?
go 5 times into lethality.
So you forgo relentless strikes. 'Cause you're not using finishing moves that much. Is that why? Or
you can go for it, but I like the improved poison. Well, leveling, you have basically have two choices. You can either go into Relentless straight up, and then you're only gonna like I've changed this quite a bit the late game, because I'm still unsure about it, if I have to be real honest, because I keep changing it up. Sometimes I end up going 3 out of 5 times into the improved poison. Other times I go 5 out of 5. But
Well, what about Relentless Strikes? Like, do you know what this percentage is? This has always been bugged on this
Ye-
talent calculator, like since forever. Your finishing
believe
moves
it's-
have some kind of percentage chance to restore energy.
I don't even remember the exact.
I don't remember what the exact is either.
Okay, so it's not either way. It doesn't seem like it's super essential, and you've gone without it before. So you go straight five lethality.
It is actually pretty good.
is
A lot
20.
of people go for it. Is it 20%?
20? Okay.
Yeah, so if you finish with 5 gold points, you get it every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, for 1 point though, it seems like that might be alright. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, either way.
I think you should actually go for it.
Okay.
Like, and then you go 4 times into it and 4 times into improved poisons.
And 4 times into improved poisons. There we go. That takes us all the way to 59. The last point is kind of inconsequential, but you might want to finish it off like. Where would you put that last 60th point though? Just you know, you'll hit 60, you'll put it into something, and you'll maybe end up respecing. Would it just be poisons? Or 5 points in lethality?
Yeah, I think I would respec, but
Yeah. Okay.
you would just go into, I guess, improved poisons.
Okay. Yeah, you'd respec anyway. All right, that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. So and you've had some pretty good times on the beta, man. I saw you were for one of the stress tests. You were the first 15, I think. And then what was your? Did you end up doing that run to 40 the other day?
I did
45?
40 to 50, yeah, but no, I had no competition. I was the first guy on like Horde side. There was not even a 43 yet when I hit 45. So I was literally like 3 levels above the second highest, and this just shows there was no competition. And on Alliance side, I don't think there was anyone either. It seemed like Monkey News was really fast. I think he would actually have beaten me if he did it all in one go with dungeon spamming. With like an hour from 40 to 45. But he might have beaten me with 2 hours because I ended up getting camped for an hour by a stream sniper.
Oh damn! You hate to see that.
Yeah. But people could make an insta level 40, so I believe that's the reason, you know, that kind of stuff happens in the beta. I don't expect something like that to happen on a launch where everyone want to level fast. Because the guys that would actually stream snipe you is going to be low level.
The guys who will stream snipe you will be low level. I'd probably agree with that.
Yeah.
If they're wasting time traveling to go kill someone, their priorities are
Yeah,
gonna be different.
if they go for killing me, that means they probably also want to kill other streamers. And that means they will have wasted time killing other streamers, which means I'll just be even further ahead.
I'm also hoping that the fact that they're not getting honor is going to deter some people from not trolling.
True.
Gotcha.
So quick question: What do you have a time to 15? 1 to 15?
My time?
Yep.
Like, okay, so my stress test time was 5 hours, which is on the slower side. But I was the first guy to 15 on the latest stress test. But that's where you had like the huge player base that
You had the
slowed
scuff
everyone
start though,
down.
right? You had that massive scuff start, right?
Yeah. I had the worst start. I had a start where my level 2 was 7.5 minutes. My level 3 was 15 minutes.
Jesus.
And normally my level 3 is 6.5 minutes. So it's literally, and then everyone just got ahead of me, all the other speedrunners, which made everything just worse.
If you had an open world to yourself, man, and you did for a while on the beta, you know, it was pretty much dead for a while. Do you have some rough general benchmarks that you're that you set for yourself to get to a certain level of range by a certain time? Like I have my own for Warlock, you know, maybe to 10 to 20 to 30 to 40, something like that.
I have times, yeah, because I leveled 1 to 40 on the beta. So first time I did 435, but I believe I could do 425 next time. Oh, on a solo server right now on the beta, I would be able to do like 420 with no players, right? And I think on a launch,
you're saying to 15?
Yeah, to 15.
Yeah, okay.
I think on a launch I can do 450 or 445. Because I think it's gonna be just like the stress test in terms of players. because the EU stress test had multiple layers, so I expect the layer size, if it's the same, my time should be better without doing Sarkov next time.
What about the
And actually
20,
just-
20, 30, and 40?
My 20 is going to be around... Okay, so my 20 is not good because when I think 20, I have 18 quests completed in my quest log.
Oh, okay.
So I literally... My 20 to 21 is like 30 minutes, which is super fast.
What would it be to 21 then, roughly? Do you have just... It doesn't have to be perfect, you know?
9, 10. Or on launch, it might be 9:25 or something. Or 9:30.
Okay.
And that would be my 21. And my 30 time would be around 21 hours.
21 hours.
On a launch. On a launch.
Yeah, these are times to beat, ladies and gentlemen, listening right now. You just get a rough sense of what you can, you know, potentially...
And 40 will be 41 hours on a launch.
Okay. That's really, really good. Yeah. That's really, really good. Interesting.
I even have my 45 times after playing the stress test recently. It should take me around 12 hours. Or 12 and a half hours. So that would be 45 at around 53 hours.
Okay.
And I believe halfway is around 43 and a half to 44. You used to say 45 was halfway. But from what it seems right now, with speedrunners, it's around 43 and a half to 44, which would put me around 100 hours, or 98 to 100 hours total on a launch.
Okay.
1 to 60.
Makes sense.
But we don't know the 45 to 60 for sure yet, obviously. We're gonna have to see that.
And you've been planning and plotting and doing your route recently too, so...
I just finished it today, actually, literally an hour before this podcast, or before this show.
Congratulations.
I finished the whole thing.
People can get access to it too if they sub them up on... Well, they can get access to it, I think, on it. There's a free version and a sub version
Yeah,
too, so
there's a free and a sub.
Yeah. All right, let's real quick, and then we'll move on from leveling. Just do a lot of people are going to go melee cleave for whatever reason, and this is potentially going to be, as Sorrana said, you know, higher DPS with daggers. It just changes the game a little bit. Maybe we can all theory craft this together. Dusty, do you have a spec that you've built out?
I'm still going swords, because of just the weapon progression.
Okay.
But I mean, we could easily. I mean, I guess you would want to start with opportunity because you're not going to Sinister Strike as much, but you'll have to probably respec a bunch of times because you won't get good daggers until later on, so you'd have to start in Sinister Strike and like work your way down to combat because really the end goal is to get Blade.
Okay. You want to take us through one? Just respect when we move on. So opportunity, 5 of 5, is that where you're starting?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say you would go opportunity and then into improved gouge, Sinister Strike down through
Gouge first
precision.
or Sinister Strike first?
Sinister Strike first.
Okay.
To be honest, I'm using myself like in my group more as a utility. So like would get go into deflection and then repose.
Really? You in a group leveling, you would go riposte?
Yeah, because as I said, through all of our testing on the stress test and everything in both RFC and Wailing Caverns, I was tanking at least one mob the entire time. I always pulled aggro because rogues just do more damage than warriors.
Interesting. Okay, so this is the type of thing that in practice you really like have to feel that out and see.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And getting
precision.
Working on it. Then yeah, we went into precision. I also into dual specialization, endurance.
Okay, so you get Blade Fury. Do you respec to get Blade Fury as fast as possible?
Yeah, so you're going to respec to get Blade Fury as soon as possible. Again, this is if you're going like a dagger build. I don't think I would recommend it personally, though.
Okay. Seems like the rogues are a little bit on the fence with the whole dagger thing, surprisingly. Mainly because of weapon progression, not from the potential of the talents.
I mean, once you get to Scarlet like done with like your 40s, you're going to get the Sword of Omen or Vanquisher Swords. You get Wingblade at 20 for Wailing Caverns. You get Thrash Blade. Like doing the dungeon cleave, you get the BFD sword. So your weapon progression through swords is just so strong. I feel personally through all my research. I mean, I could have missed something, but it's just what I've seen.
Okay.
I think the only time where there's a good dagger is RFK, like before swords. So you need to get that dagger, which is a drop dagger, not a quest dagger. And that's the only reason you would really go into dagger spec, as far as what I've seen.
Yeah, so
And then you would have to respec for it. But
So this is looking pretty similar to
don't-
the solo spec, man. It's looking pretty similar
yeah,
at this point.
it's basically the same thing. I just don't get remorseless tax at 2.
Right. Minus the 2 talent points there, yeah.
Because you just don't.
it could be worth it, but then it's very hard to coordinate that you need to get the last hits, and people are gonna get tired and won't do it, and yeah.
I mean, it also depends on your group comp. We don't have a priest, but ideally, if you had a priest as your healer, you want them to get the last hit to proc their priest abilities to regain. Like it's, and our warriors are just basically spamming Rens and Thunderclaps, so shit just dies like out of nowhere. It's really tough to coordinate.
Okay. Makes sense.
What is your group right now? Warrior, Rogue?
Two warriors, a rogue, a mage, and a shaman. We're stretching it with a mage. We're working on our week 1 rags, so we wanted a utility class to divvy out gear once we get up to the higher levels, because it would be such a waste to throw away certain gear sets while we're leveling and farming gear. Plus, we found out that just the mages are so good.
Yeah, that's another implication tactics later on, not just pure leveling efficiency. When you get to those later levels, like actually being able to farm your pre-raid sets, you know what I mean, and get in there and distribute the gear, you know, as you head
Okay,
into
there's
raids.
some news I just want to say for everyone on the stream and you guys. There's 2 more servers coming to US. PvP servers.
2
both
more
of them.
servers coming
8 minutes ago. 8 minutes ago.
Oh,
What,
fantastic.
did they show when it's
One
coming
in
out?
Eastern. August 19th, 6 p.m. PDT.
6 p.m.
So-
PDT. Yo, you guys heard it here, man. 2 new servers. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Tactics.
And one is Eastern and one is Pacific. Like, the location of the servers.
Yo, we're probably moving to that. Just like, just to throw it out, we're probably gonna move to that new.
I think we talked about this earlier, that we wanted more servers, actually.
Yeah, dude, we're probably gonna move to that one, man. Just saying.
Posted a link in chat
Just saying.
for Twitch people.
2 new servers. Hype, dude. Hype in the chat for the 2 new servers. Oh man, you'd love to see that. You love to see that. That is.
It's the flashing hot news.
That's the flashing hot
interrupt
news. Yeah,
this-
my Discord's
this
blowing up
leveling.
right now, dude. Oh man, new realms for WoW Classic. That is sweet, man. The Blamo server and the Skaram server. This
Scarum is a cool name.
kind of ate up names are those, bro? Blomu? I don't even know how do you pronounce that? Blomu? Blaumu? Good. I don't even know, man.
Moves. Yeah, I don't know.
Something like that. Anyway, finish me off real quick. We'll move past leveling, Dusty. So we're down at Blade Fury at 30. We respect to get Blade Fury ASAP. Let's just finish it out.
Then we would go. I'm getting sword specialization.
Okay, you're going right into sword specialization.
Yeah, you want finish. Get 1 point into sword specialization, then finish out.
1 point in sword. Oh, I like that. Just to get that mechanic on the table. Ooh, that's spicy. Okay, so then you finish off sword, or you go as soon as this opens up the
I want to
expertise.
finish dual wield.
Yeah, but
No, I get 1 and then finish dual. And then then go into swords. You go into
weapon expertise, or do you finish off sword first?
No, you want to get weapon expertise. It's just better.
Okay.
I think.
Weapon expertise, finish off sword, or no?
Yep.
Okay. One
And
aggression,
then
adrenaline rush,
adrenaline rush. Yeah, it's basically the same build, and then you go lethality,
murder.
malice into murder.
Wait, you have a few more points here though, because you're not getting remorseless attacks. So you're going malice and then what? 2 murder right away, and then 3 slice and dice, or
1 slice and dice. I like ruthlessness.
ruthlessness. Okay.
So
2 points
murder,
ruthlessness.
one, then 3. 2 ruthlessness, and then you can get
Relentless.
relentless. I mean, at the higher levels, I don't know if it really will matter. It's really up to preference, like what you want to do,
Okay.
because you're gonna respec at 60 anyway.
Okay. Gotcha. Makes sense. So pretty similar to the solo spec. Just for those are 2 builds for you guys. One for dungeon or melee cleave, dungeon spam, and one for solo leveling. Surprisingly similar builds as they all math out. And I think the weapon progression is the main factor. Main factor there. Okay. All right.
There's also one E-Realm PvP, just for the Europeans that didn't know.
Oh man. So 3 realms.
An English one.
3 realms.
So it's 3 new realms now. And we also have the 2 German ones today, so it's 5 new realms just today.
Wow, that's crazy. That is crazy, man. Yeah, dude, it's looking like we might move to that one. Just letting you guys know in advance. We'll see. We'll see though. We'll get together with the boys.
Thanks for doing this. I strongly recommend you also put timestamps for each topic.
Thank you,
once
Chariot
the
Rider, for
video
the $1,
is
man.
out.
Appreciate it, bro. Yeah. Appreciate it, man. We can put timestamps for sure. Okay, let's move on from leveling. Let's see here. Let's move on to PvP. Let's switch it up, dude. We got to get Sorrana involved here, dude. PvP is a rogue. PvP is a rogue. We can go back and do some of the farming stuff after. PvP is a rogue, man. Sorrana, as a rank 14 rogue player, what is your role in PvP? In Battlegrounds? We can talk about dueling. We can talk about solo world PvP. Maybe we can start with Battlegrounds.
Okay, you want to start with Battlegrounds? Okay, so last few times I was on your stream, we talked a little bit of Battlegrounds and the role as a rogue, and I feel like that I talked much about games that you play as your daily games, you know, and like 90% of the games you play as a pre-mate is against pugs. Basically, that's how you farm honor, right? So there is this one thing where you're standing back in the flag room just waiting for someone to pick it up and then kill him. Sometimes it's a shitmate, like 4 or 5 people who queue together and then you wait for the druid and so on, or bad pre-mate.
Shitmate.
That's where you kind of wait and do your job in it. And if there's nothing like that, you just go on the field and get some HKs. Your pre-mate will let you know. But actually, I feel like that I have missed some words against real hard premates. So whenever you play against real hard premates with your premate, is basically you still do the same at the beginning. You wait for the druid to get on him and make him blow as much cooldowns, consumables as you can in the first try. But he will do the same, basically. And I have to say, whenever you play against a druid who is on top of his game, like 110%, he will most likely make it out. And there's nothing you can do just because of the FAB, the skull, and so on. The tools you have are not powerful enough to stop a fully equipped druid that has all his cooldowns and tools available. So once he makes it out, you also have a druid on your team, right? So the same will happen at that time if you play premate versus premate, and you end up, in 90% of the cases, you end up that both flags are on the roof of the enemy team, guarded by a defense team, what we have talked about in the PvP workshops, and there's a offense team in every team as well, where you as a rogue are one of the most important persons. Because basically it's your job to somehow, and no one cares how, but somehow you have to get on that roof and prepare that druid and the defensive team there. So you have to somehow take care of most likely a mage, hunter, priest, and the druid itself. And
wait, so you're saying you go on offense after that? So what about defending your own druid? You're saying if the druids make it to each other's bases, you now switch from defense to offense, or you're...
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
So whenever you die and your druid is just running by doing his route when he's avoiding the enemy offense, you can help out a little bit, but basically it's not your job. Defense is not your job at this point. You have to go offensive.
Okay.
And there are even some builds as rogue in your talents that are especially for this case, because if you play on like servers like Henhouse, where you can just buy every gear and every pot and so on, so you never have any gold issues or consumable issues, it ends up all this time, like all the BGs end up like this. The enemy flags are on the roof and you have to somehow get there. And that's the really hard part about playing rogue, because you just have to go somewhere up there and prepare that druid with like expose armor, kidney shot, stuff like that. you won't kill him. Like, you won't be the guy that deals the most damage on the enemy flag carry. You are there to control everyone that is trying to support the enemy flag carry, like the mage, the priest, and so on. And the guy like your offense team, the warrior and maybe the warlock, it's their task to kill that druid.
I see. So would you say at a high-end PvP play, so your role isn't to be some big damage dealer, but you're more of a a controller, someone who controls the team, whether you're on offense or defense?
Yeah, but
Okay.
I mean, you still deal a lot of damage. It's not that you just suck at it in a battleground. Like the druid, enemy druid, if you would just stalk into their Discord or something, he would, if he's on that roof, he would be asking every 2 minutes, has anyone seen the rogue in midfield? Has anyone seen the rogue in defense? Because they are just afraid that you might start the whole thing and the offense team is just rushing up and stuff.
I see. Interesting. That's cool. So there's an offense and a defense component to playing Rogue in Warsong. What about in Arathi Basin?
Well, Arathi Basin is a little bit more, let's say, it's not that fast-paced. Arathi Basin is a little bit more tactical element of the game. You have to estimate much, and you as a rogue are not real the playmaker. If you are in a losing position, that's where you shine, basically, because it's on you to ninja cap basis with like your rocket helmet and CC abilities, maybe late help from a mage or something like that. Mind control helmet, something like that. That's really useful against classes that have a pet, for example. I'm not sure how it will be in Classic, to be honest. But usually if you mind control classes with a pet, like Warlock or Hunter, they cannot control their pet anymore. So you beat like 2 flies with that one clap. And you can probably cap that base and need some support. Otherwise, it's just anchoring, to be honest. Goldmine will be your spot.
What do you mean by anchoring for the people who don't know what that means?
Anchoring means your first and only priority is to get to that base, get that base, basically cap it, and then just wait and call links.
So are you not moving around a ton comparatively to other classes? You're kind of playing defense on one place and anchoring it, holding it down, spinning it, and stuff like that, right?
Well, yeah. If you play against a pre-mate, you will most likely stay there and anchor your gold mine. If you 5-cap pucks, you just cap it and then just leave to go for stables or.
Why does it always seem to be Goldmine? What's Goldmine? What's so special about Goldmine that's like the rogue zone? You always hear that.
The thing is, if you go like somewhere, let's say Lumber Mill is a high spot, so you want like a mage or something anchoring, or maybe a warlock there to jump down, because you have to rely on your Noggenfogger if you want to jump down to help blacksmith or something.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow the meta developed to Goldmine. I don't think it has any special reason besides that people who could defend Lumber Mill like a mage could be better off helping at blacksmith with the slow fall.
Interesting. All right. So that's and then I guess the last battleground is AV. Are you on the back cap patrol? Because during AV weekend or whatever, that becomes the best way to farm honor efficiently, right? Don't you spam AV during those weekends?
Yeah, on the last private servers, for some reason, everyone made a gentleman agreement and just spammed AV. So you didn't even have the chance to go Warsong or AB, which was really bad. So PvP just went to shit, to be honest. I
really?
didn't want to take part of this, so I didn't play PvP at those servers at all. Sad story, but anyway, AV can actually be fun as a rogue, because if you play it as a pre-mate, if you just queue all together on 3-1 and some stuff, you can actually get 20 to 30 people or even 40 in. And some people will try to stop you at choke points like Iceblood. If you're Alliance and you want to go to Draktor or something in that direction, the choke point in AV is Iceblood Graveyard for the Horde. So they will just position 2-3 mages and improve Blizzard your this choke. So your raid is just getting slowed down by a fuck ton. And you as a rogue, it's your job to just stealth in front, zap and control those mages while your raid is just mounting up and running through.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Makes sense.
I mean, when you're solo in AV, you can do tower stuff, but that's widely known. You just stealth through and get some towers in the Frostwolf Keep.
That's scary,
So-
man. A couple rogues and like a druid or something on backcap patrol and going back and getting the towers, man. That's the stuff of nightmares for people defending, you know, just having them open.
Guys, I don't know if you know. I don't remember if it was before or after we started talking, but the very last day of AV, we were both going for max kills on the last battleground that was about to close.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that.
We both were?
Yeah, like we were like fighting to be the highest amount of kills.
Oh,
I don't know
that's
if you
funny.
remember, and you were against some rogue, and that was me.
That was you?
I don't think we were talking at that point. Yeah,
I don't think we were
So
talking.
basically, I was like 2 kills ahead of you, and then there was like 10 minutes to the server shutdown, and then a lot of the alliance players went out in the middle, and they just started going naked. And
Yes, I
I
remember
them and got
that.
super far ahead.
I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah. They were just dancing on top of that little like.
Yeah, and I
mound,
just
yeah.
killed them because I was a rogue. I could still lift up. There were people defending, but I managed to get a hit that way.
That's funny, dude. That's awesome. As a rogue, topping a BG in terms of killing blows as a rogue is super. It's tough, dude. It's rough.
I
That's
ended
gotta
up
be
going
rough.
27-1 in one of the AVs, which is pretty hard for a rogue. But I just ambushed back, killing the back line whenever they went to heal.
That's awesome,
It
man.
was a pretty interesting way.
Okay, so let's get into duels, man, real quick. Duels. This is a juicy one. Everyone loves duels, man. Everyone loves duels. You say you don't love duels, probably because you're bad at dueling, man. But it's even though it's not, you know, you don't win anything in a duel. I don't know, maybe it's just personal, but dueling is a part of vanilla for sure. What do you think? What do you think, Sorrana? What duels is it? We can go through the matchups, maybe. We'll go through the matchups and just. It's too hard to totally unpack everything in like a few seconds, but you know, just given your play style and experience and the way you spec out your rogue and everything like that, do you feel at an advantage, disadvantage, or equal fighting a warrior of equal skill and gear?
If it is an orc warrior, I feel in a massive disadvantage.
Okay.
So yeah, stun resist just fucks you over all the time. There's you need a whole portion of luck to beat orc warriors. It's really close every time you duel someone. But I don't even know how that will play out in classic, because the leeway mechanics I have seen in the videos, because I didn't get to play the beta myself, that could destroy the whole dead range thing against warriors. And if that would be the case, you are just a victim to warriors.
You're a victim, because last time we talked, you said you felt like you could control warriors pretty well by kiting them around, right? So the leeway has affected that win condition?
Leeway has changed everything.
Ooh, man, that's rough. How would you kite them around in the past, Sorrana? What would be your plan pre-leeway versus a warrior?
Well, yeah, after your opener, hopefully a successful one, you apply crippling with some way of autos or whatever you spam at it, what you spec, like hemo, whatever. Just get crippling on as fast as possible from the main hand. And what you do is just whenever you bursted your energy into him, or when he leaves your stun from the opener, you want to kite him. So you want to just replenish your energy and go for re-stealth, basically.
Oh, okay.
So crippling poison reduces running speed by 70%. So even if he gets a hamstring on you, which is 50, I think, you are still faster and can get some distance. And you want to be in that distance where he cannot auto hit you, but also cannot intercept you at the dead range.
Okay, so you're trying to not get too far so he can intercept you. I was just about to ask you that, but can you drop and go back into stealth within that range? Like before the intercept range?
It's kind of like playing with the warrior or the hunter's old dead zone.
Yeah.
You basically just keep them in a dead zone.
Okay.
Exactly.
See, but now with leeway, you're just getting clapped. Like Tauren Warrior, is that the stuff of nightmares for you now? Or I mean,
it's not. It's the whole leeway mechanic. Yeah, a Tauren for sure, but it's a whole leeway mechanic. Whenever someone is moving, the leeway, like your range of the auto hit increases. So whenever someone is just spamming strafe A and D, something like that, the melee range increases like a lot. So they kind of kill their own dead zone while just standing on place and pressing A and D, like strafing back and forth, because that's considered a moving
or jumping
for the game.
Yeah.
Like a move. Yeah, and then you just have higher melee range. And it was insane increase of melee range during the beta. But I don't know if that's still the case. I couldn't play myself.
Man, so what are you thinking at this point though? So against, let's say it's not an orc warrior, let's just say it's you know, a human warrior, you're a rogue.
Yep.
Do you feel that this went from an advantageous matchup to a disadvantageous, or is it pretty equal, you feel, at this point?
Yeah. No, it's like whenever the warrior gets to hit you, it gets downhill because it's just so high auto hits and stuff. He can just dump the rage into you. It is so bad. Like overpower.
Yeah, I was just saying one overpower just basically kills you.
Sounded like a rough life right now, my man. All right. Okay. So,
Sword proc overpower MS, you dead.
Okay.
Yep. 100%.
So maybe disadvantageous rough matchup now in the, as far as leeway in the post leeway era. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the leeway has improved our mage fight though, because you can even better now preemptively gouge them into blink. I was practicing that. Stress.
It works in your favor there, huh? Yeah. True. Yeah.
And you can hit them a little bit more now when they know you. They get a little bit out of range, but you can still kind of hit them while they're running.
Okay.
But so far, the only matchup I felt really powerless against was Soul Link Warlock, and now when Warrior is coming into it, Warrior is one of the most played classes, and when you just have to run from them, it's such a bad feeling.
Yeah, Warlock's rough without a trinket.
Oh man, dude, that's you love to hear that, Soul Link Warlock. Anyway, so mirror match is kind of you know, its own thing. You know, that's an equal matchup, right? That's an. How do you what are you looking for in the rogue mirror though? How do you open a rogue mirror?
I think an orc has the advantage in a mirror matchup, to be honest.
Think so?
Probably, yeah.
Because I mean, they resist your stun, like you just kill them.
What about a dwarf being able to get a vanish off?
Yeah, breaking blind could be.
Breaking blind, yeah.
Yeah.
Seems good.
That's where dwarf really excels.
Okay, let's move on to hunter. What about hunter? How do you feel against a hunter?
Well, if it's orc hunter again, okay, we have enough of the orc story. Whatever plays orc is a hard matchup for a rogue usually, but hunter, especially like good hunters, they know how to kite you excessively with their traps and so on. So whenever basically what you do is to burst them down. You have to somehow get over the first trap, which is kind of a playmaker in a duel, I feel like. So with something like Skull of Impending Doom or Frost Reflect or something like that. And once you are able to dodge that first trap, which is kind of, you have to predict it at some point, then you are in really good position. Because then you win the overhand and you are in control of the fight with your blinds and so on.
Okay.
Like cooldowns in general, I think.
So as a hunter, I feel pretty good against rogues, but you feel pretty good against hunters then. I guess it's maybe a little more equal than I thought.
It changes a lot. When the hunter knows that you're there, it's kind of a little bit harder. And with patch progression later on, they just get so much stamina to their chainmail armor that even if you try to burst them down, it's really hard to kill them until they get the second trap off, and then they just two-shot you with the aim shot.
Yeah, I think Hunter's open world is a lot easier than Hunter's in 100%.
Okay. Moving on to... So would you say that's an uphill battle versus a hunter? Sorrana?
Yeah, it's one of the harder classes. I mean, in world PvP, the advantage of the rogue is you can always choose your matchups, right?
True.
If you're stealthing around or some shit, or you see someone you're not willing to fight against, just stealth and get the fuck off.
Because it's not necessarily the, you know, you're not necessarily, like, out in the open world, you're going to be catching people with cooldowns staggered, you know, in a practical sense. When you fight, not all fights in PvP are created equal, like a duel, you know, duels like kind of like in a vacuum. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe uphill there. Warlock, I feel like I'm putting all the uphill ones up first. So Warlock, you're saying
there's a lot of uphill ones.
A lot of uphill ones. You got to work hard for those wins. You got to work hard. What about Destro though? I feel like you might clap Destro Warlocks as a rogue, like the
Yeah, raid spec warlocks I think are very manageable.
Yeah. How do you do against NF Conflag, Sorrana?
Well, the crucial part in every warlock matchup is the death coil, I feel like, because they will never get a fear of otherwise unless they use like rocket helmet, some shit like that.
Yeah.
But like the 80% of your like average duels go with like death coil into fear, and then that's where you basically lose with all the dots on you.
Okay. All right. How about mage? Rogue versus mage. How do you feel about this one?
Oh, that's hard to tell. It's 50-50, I would say, because yeah, it's so much. I don't know, how could I say it? It's so much prediction included. Everyone is just predicting stuff. The mage is trying to predict your next stun and like energy combo, cooldown, blind, and stuff like that. And you're trying to predict the next Frost Nova, sheep, whatever. So it's Blink, for example.
It's probably one of the flashiest duels in the game, man. Watching a rogue mage, it's actually really fun to watch, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
it can go downhill and uphill so fast. In a matter of a second, it can change when someone makes a mistake.
It's a very swingy duel.
But does with the additional with melee leeway being a thing now, though, right? Do you feel like that changes anything in the matchup?
It depends. It depends because back at like mages would Nova you and then just run a little bit to get the sheep off. Now they have to kind of go a little bit further, so it does help, but it's very.
But if you're Nova, there's no leeway. I just realized if you're Nova, because they have to be moving, right?
Move.
Yeah. Because you can't jump or anything. You're rooted. Interesting.
That's why Gnome's OP.
Okay.
Yeah, Gnome really excels against mage setups.
Okay, so mage.
You get two Nova breaks basically between improved sprint and
Okay, gotcha. Makes sense. What about priest? I guess we have to think about shadow or disc.
Well, I think against shadow you just lose.
Yeah, I don't think you can beat a shadow priest at all.
You can't beat a shadow priest. Well, what happens? How does this unfold that you lose?
There's just passive healing. Will just kill you.
The second fear is where you lose, basically. If you somehow manage to get around the second fear, however, that's where you can actually win the matchup. It depends on gear a lot as well. So, well, Shadow Form does let you take less damage, then you have to go through the shield, and there's much armor with like the inner fire, and you have to waste so many combo points on like expose armor, and like get some damage into him to break the shield and stuff, that you either want to play around it with like Sap and Blind and just hope that it drops off when you have like a good add-on that tracks the timers of the shield, or you really go ham on him and just try to burst him down before he gets the second fear on you. Because you break the first one, obviously, with the trinket, and if you're a blacksmith, you might have another chance. Because you have the mithril insignia.
Oh, that would probably change a lot, yeah.
So, but the dot damage alone is so high, and even Mind Flay ticks and that one Mind Blast that he gets into you is so big in damage-wise. What he has to do is basically just run away, shielding himself and dotting you, and you will die eventually at some point.
It's basically the same thing a Warlock does.
Okay, makes sense. And Shaman? I feel like Shaman might be pretty susceptible to a rogue. How do you feel about the Shaman? Like if going up against like an Ellie, the Ellie Resto PvP spec?
Yeah, but really good shamans know how to kite you with the totems, and they will just out-sustain you in the long term. So you have to make quick work on a shaman.
Okay. And Druid, Druid's pretty well as a rogue defending that flag room. If you what Druid?
But,
yeah, I guess it would be the Feral Resto spec. I mean, do you duel those very often?
Dueling druids doesn't happen that often, to be honest.
Yeah.
If you don't do it in front of Ironforge, you're not doing it in a battleground for sure, because druids just excel in buying time, running away, stuff like that. So you never fight them. They just try to get away from you because that's their job, obviously, in like Warsong, and if they anchor in on a base in the Arathi Basin. So
Makes sense.
if you manage to duel someone in front of Ironforge, the chance is kind of high that he is not like in this how should I say, those BG flag carry specs.
Okay,
It will be some decent spec that is actually good for dueling.
I see. And finish it off with Paladin. A Paladin duel. I don't even know how you approach that. Trying to kill a Holy Paladin is just a night is rough.
Maybe my Horde guys can help me out, because I didn't duel many Paladins.
True. Yeah.
I haven't dueled a lot of Paladins either, to be honest.
I avoid them.
You avoid them? Okay.
Yeah, because I didn't really open world. Like if you run into a paladin, they're usually with 3 other people.
Okay.
If they don't wreck bomb you, reds are not that hard to beat, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Holy is way harder to get through.
Holy, they have just as much, I feel like, sustain as like a shaman would, and eventually they'll just whittle you down.
It seems like you'd be able to reset on them pretty easy, right? Because they don't really have any dots that throw on you. You can just kind of vanish out and reset, right?
Just run away. You can reset very often, but you also have to do it. You can do the little shenanigans that you need to do with priests as well. Like if you sap and then open with cheap shot to generate combo points, but do not auto attack him after, so he doesn't get out of the sap. So you can safely re-stealth and just do it over again until then you just wait until the diminishing return is gone, and then you start with like 5 combo points and expose armor or something like that.
Okay, gotcha. And phase 1, before we end on PvP, because we're going into phase 1 and phase 2, this is going to be most relevant. What PvP spec would you go? Let's say you finished raiding for the week and you have a couple days to PvP. What do you think you're going to be best positioned as, spec-wise, talent-wise?
Well, personal preference, I would say. Some people like the Hemo builds, some people like Dagger builds. I would always go for Dagger. That's just what I have made the best experience with. But it also depends a little bit on patch progression and item progression, because at some point, like with AQ gear at tier 2.5, Eviscerate is just so strong that you are more likely forced to go into Hemo spec.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, let's move on to just phase 1, rogue amenities, farming. We're about to go into phase. We're about to play Classic WoW, and it's going to be phase 1. We're not going to have access to all the different items. PvP rank 14 PvP system is not going to be out yet. There are some rogue amenities too. We were talking about lava runs, and there's that hallway that the rogue can solo. Does anything come to mind for you guys with specific farms or things that you can do as a rogue at 60 phase 1 you guys are looking forward to doing, or as part of your plans?
Well, first of all, pickpocket seems worse than private service.
Worse than
so
private service.
I don't think that. Yeah, I think that will be less viable as far as I've seen, because at the lower levels it's worse. I only pickpocketed 2 mobs in BRD, but it gave me 3 silver. That was it. So I don't think it's going to be very viable.
I believe they're going off of the nerfs, because I remember back in vanilla I used to pickpocket in solo, like Ultimate and ZF, because you could get a lot of good weapon drops and epics and stuff farming certain mobs, and then they went through and just kept nerfing the gold from pickpocketing, and I think that's the data that they're using. So I agree. I think it's going to be garbage.
But also private servers nerfed the lockbox loot early on Nost. What's what I can remember. So because you had like insane amounts of Alakazar Sunraiser drops in those boxes. And like, I mean, Gut Ripper is still broken on the private servers. You have like tons of Gut Rippers in the boxes. And the blue, the blue daggers in Scarlet Monastery. But I also think that they nerfed the overall loot out from those loot boxes.
Yeah, but I don't think any of this will work in beta, because in classic. Because in beta, I tried to farm a lot of boxes and I got like no green item ever.
Really?
Or anything like that, really. Yeah, only from like real boxes, for like the green ones. I never got anything else really. The same with chest. Chest doesn't drop greens either. On private, every single chest gives a green. On beta, it's 1 out of 25 chests that gives a green.
1 out of
Every
25? Cheese and rice.
Yeah, okay, think about it. Think about it. All the chests you open in the
That
beta,
is
did you ever get a
insane.
green?
I think I got one or two.
green.
Yeah, 1 or
Yeah,
two. It was,
and I opened like more than 50.
Man. 1 out
They
of
just don't
25
drop
though.
greens.
That's crazy, man. 1
It's
out of
very,
25.
very low chance.
Man.
So lockboxes, I don't know. Lockboxes could be different, but because lockboxes always only drop those blue weapons.
I
If
think
they
the
have-
dungeons ones actually gave it though. Sorry, but they actually gave the greens. But
Yeah, I mean the boxes you get when you pickpocket someone, like the.
they just gave me poison stuff. Like every single I farmed them for 3 hours in BID. I didn't get a single green item.
In the beta?
No, not BID. Sorry, in what was it? Razorfin Downs IFD. But
In the
they
beta
should
or?
give. Yeah, in the
sorry.
beta.
Okay.
It was 3 hours. I didn't get a green. I got like star rubies and stuff like that or whatever.
Yeah, they don't have greens.
That kind of.
They just
Yeah.
have. It's either the rogue books that give you 45 silver or something. They are worth something. The rogue diaries, it's called. Or you can have gut rippers and one of those blue daggers inside. And they quite sell a little bit for in the auction.
Like
If you
there
like-
was not a single God River ever seen on beta.
Damn.
So I don't know if they have a high chance of dropping from that.
What are you guys
Yeah,
gonna
I
do for
couldn't
money?
wait.
What are you guys gonna do for money? Like, is there anything rogue specific, or is it yeah? I'm really curious. As a rogue at
So-
60 phase 1, how do you make money?
If pickpocket doesn't work, I have two ways that two rogue only ways that you could go for, which is the Skullman's orb. If you could solo that, is it the Fire Mage or whatever it's called? That one that drops the orb in there. And then the other way is Fairy Enchant. You can farm a few Fairy Enchant maybe and get a few money from that.
The what enchant? Sorry.
But it's
The Fairy in the
oh,
BRD.
fiery. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
fiery weapon.
Fiery,
but that's
fiery, yeah.
actually pretty hard. They hit like a truck because it's a rare elite. So when I was doing it on a fresh server with like a little bit of pre-biz gear and combat spec, it was kind of hard. I had to reset 3 times, so I had to.
But I think it's gonna be easier. Like every elite on the beta. That's why dungeon farming is good, you know, because the mobs are twice as easy. They deal half the damage. All the elites that I kill, like while leveling, there's only one elite so far that was harder than on private, and that
And
was
did they- Yeah.
What?
What was that? Which? Yeah.
That was the guy you have to kill in Dust Swallow Marsh, where you have to it's like some orc guy in the town you have to kill. After the long quest chain with the southern area, you have to duel this guy in the town, and he just did more damage and more health than on private. But every other mob was like way easier.
Okay.
So and did they add lockouts in beta later on? Like when I watched the first streams of playing the beta, people were not locked out after resetting 5 times the instances
Yeah, there's 5
yeah, they
times.
added
Yes.
it. Yep, they added it.
per hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's no camp, so that's good, I guess. Or that sucks later on when we
Yeah.
dungeon farm, but it's good that dungeon farm is a bit slower because of that.
Could there be more dungeon now that that mobs and elites are easier? Could dungeon stealth runs where you kill certain mobs just be in general be stronger now for rogues?
I think it all depends on loot drops. I used to farm Ultimate and Zul'Farrak for the rare mobs and just certain blues and stuff that would sell high in both of those dungeons. And depending on how the mob density, or not mob density, but like just drop rates are, it's possible you could do easily solo runs in Prebis.
Nice. And you guys can solo
I
Devil
think-
Swords as rogues too, right? So that's just another thing I threw
Oh,
on
Yes.
there. That
But Devil
pretty
Sword, I
sweet.
feel, is a team effort. It's not something a solo rogue would do.
well, you could steal
Well,
them.
you can do it. You can do it as solo rogue.
Oh, of
Yeah,
course.
you can.
But
You can steal skins too,
Yeah.
right? That's it could be just
Yeah,
you can
that's
steal a
so
lot of
good.
skin.
No one has triggers and stuff like that. You can really do it easily.
I was just thinking that. So you can wait till someone kills the Devil Sword chat.
You have to wait till they're skinning it, because if they have loot on the mob when you try to do it, you'll feel real.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, and stealth is even better. Like, if you're behind a target in PvP, they won't see you ever. Like, you literally stand on top of them, or like right behind them for 10 seconds. They will never see you. So if you're behind the target, well, you skin, or just go close, but behind them, they're not gonna see you. You can like zap and then blind the other guy and maybe gouge the third one if there's a third one, and then you can just skin it. It's quick to skin.
Is that Heike the best way to farm gold as a rogue? If you go through the layers, if you're constantly zipping through the layers and waiting for people to kill Devilsaurs and then just skinning it.
Well, I don't think we're gonna be able to layer hop that often.
I don't think
it has a
layer hop's gonna
long
be as
cooldown.
effective.
Damn.
I hope it has a long cooldown. I think it has.
Is that
You can do the
is
same
that
thing
fair
with
game,
Lotus,
chat?
too.
Is that fair game? Like, what if you do that to someone? Are you gonna get a bad rep on your server, or is that fair game? That for a rogue? It might be fair game, man. That's like how the class works. I don't know.
That's PvP, so.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think that's fair game, man. You gotta
One more
watch
thing
out.
would be maybe what is it? Arcanite Reaper recipe in LBRS.
Oh.
Well,
That
it's
is
even
one
better on
restaurant.
PvE server, by the way. You just walk up to them when they're about to loot, and you just spam your right click, and whoever's fastest gets the scanning.
Oh jeez.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think that would be quite annoying to see. Like, if you kill the Devil's Sour and then some rogue comes out still, it just starts spamming right click.
Now you do it inside the mob, so they don't even realize.
I think you even get it, because he has to like loot and then right click, while you just have to spam it. But
So is that actually how you're gonna make money though? You're going to the farm
Black
Fire
Lotus
League?
for me.
Oh, Black Lotus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Black Lotus. Black Lotus is gonna be worth more than on a private server. I think it's gonna be worth like 4 times more. And it was the best way to farm on the most gold efficient on private server.
Why would it be more
Because-
valuable than private server?
On private it had 5-minute respawn or 10-minute respawn, and now it'll have 1 hour respawn.
Oh,
So it should just be worth like so much more.
makes sense.
Private servers.
And
they-
everyone wanted, right? Everyone wanted Titan.
I didn't know that, dude. It's a
Elixirs.
1 hour respawn. Damn.
Yes.
They ended up. Some private servers had them on dynamic respawn. It was so crazy. Yeah, but man, hour respawn for Black Lotus. Oh man.
But I don't know if they kinda will tune this a little bit, because you have even more players these days. So it was designed for back in the day for the amount of players, and now it's so much more players. I don't know.
But
if
there's
they
more layers than one, so if there's 4 layers on the server, it's 15-minute respawn in theory.
Yeah, but even if they tune it down in phase 2 to 1 layer, it's still like double the amount of the players that could fit on the server back in the day.
Yeah, that's the problem.
True.
There's just going to be too many people to Lotus. Lotus is going to be such a hot commodity. Like, if you can get to 60 real quick, I
How many is
recommend
it?
you spending as much time as you can farming Lotus.
Is that an amenity of Rogue though? One of the best classes
Eight.
at looting nodes and shit, just skinning and looting nodes because you have so much control. That seems like a Rogue exclusive right there, man.
I think hunters can do it pretty well because you can just have your pet tank, whatever is in your.
Yeah, that's true. I'm saying with players though, but yeah.
If you
The
fight
Devil
over it,
Sour, I
it's-
think they might be the best.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
think they're probably one of the best for snacking devil swords from people.
You gotta watch your back
Yeah.
when you're farming those devil swords, guys. You gotta be quick
Oh.
with it.
As a rogue, you don't farm them. You just as everybody else. As a
Everybody
rogue,
else,
you just wait
yeah.
for someone else to kill it.
What could everyone else do though to prevent getting messed up? Just pop a skull or something, or pop a scorpion poison food snack before they skin, something like that,
Yep, that could be a game changer.
so they can't get CC'd. Yeah, interesting, man. Let's say you guys are gonna farm gold. Okay, let's talk about phase 1, the early phases. How do rogues perform in terms of damage? Let's say just MC Oni. You guys,
Probably near the top at most fights.
I would say number 3, right?
number 3. How would you rank them, Tactics?
I think Warrior with Pre-Biss and Hunter would be better. Isn't Hunter like top 3? Or
No.
the only way they're good at? Isn't it only Molten Core without items? Like if you rush straight in without Pre-Biss, just like without any items straight
I think
from
it's
60.
possible. Yeah, I think it's possible. You'd have to have a really good hunter though, who knows how to use his pet on every fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's possible.
And
Because I remember on Northdale release, it was the Hunters were above the other classes when you went in first week Molten Core.
But Northdale had Lupos
all
unnormalized,
of
right?
our
Oh yeah, Lupus, yeah, that's true.
all of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Might
all
be
of our,
it.
all of our private server testing so far, it just seems like warriors and rogues, and then obviously the certain fights where casters just take.
Dusty was
way
topping
ahead
in some of our recent ones, man. You were topping, Dusty.
I lose to warriors. Warriors with win inferior very.
Yeah, it's the most competitive pre-bis that you're fighting for, though. That's one thing that's kind of a bummer. And you probably have some of the least leverage towards acquiring that pre-bis because you're not super essential in the groups,
and
right?
With the change to hit cap, you have to get that extra piece of hit now where you didn't before. Like you can get 8% on limited amount of gear, and now getting 9%, you have to get another piece of gear. So it's like in your pre-bis, I believe you have 10%, so it's not too bad. But like before you get your pre-bis, like just at a 60, without doing any farming or anything like that, all I could get is 8%. So I'm still trying to figure out where to get that last percent of hit.
Oh, so
if the rune of the guard captain is in, that will be your 9th hit percent of hit. But if it's not in, then you don't have it.
Interesting. So there's a chance rogues couldn't get hit cap for MC in phase 1?
Well, right now you can get hit capped, but I'm talking about not doing any dungeon farming just from like quest items and things.
Okay.
Obviously, it's very.
No, you should be able to, right? How much is Devil Sword, right? Devil Sword is a good amount.
Devil Sword is 2%. If you can get Devil Sword, you're there.
Then you're
there.
Devil
Sword, like Worm Hide Shoulders, Blackstone Ring.
Yeah.
That's 5% you need because you get 5% talents.
Yeah, you're kind of in the same boat of hunters are unless they go sure-footed. So it makes sense that you can get it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think rogues are pretty well positioned for phase 1, doing some serious damage. MC Oni performance. Also, this is something I'm really curious about you, Sorrana. So the rank 14 PvP system is not going to be out till phase 2 at minimum. Do you have a pre-PvP set like before it comes out that you're aiming for, that you're shooting for? Is that a thing now that's going through your mind?
Not really, to be honest. Because I mean, Devil Saw is one of the best in both PvE and PvP. And then there is stuff like, I don't know, True Strike Shoulders do not have any good stats besides hit and the attack power. So you need some stuff with stamina. And it's kind of rare, to be honest, to get somewhere at the previous stuff. To get some stamina gear could be... I mean, you can go for dungeon sets, which is pretty nice, actually. Even with the set bonus, you have to go high with the 8 set bonus, but on private servers it was kind of broken, I guess, because it procced so many times the energy regeneration thingy. I'm not sure how it will play out in Classic, but some of the dungeon set pieces are not that bad.
Okay, the Skullman stuff?
Yep.
Okay.
Blue set.
Are you guys going to get engineering phase 1?
I am not.
I don't think I'm going for it phase 1. I think I'm just gonna get so much money in phase 1 as possible, and then afterwards I'll go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm not going mining, so I need to get engineering, all the money to go from 1 to 300 that way. And maybe I'll even go gnome first and then goblin afterwards to get the gnome specific ones, but then still be able to.
You don't really need 300, right? That on point. Is there anything at 300 that you really need? It's like 245.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah,
that's true.
So it's around. I mean, on the last private servers, it was around 100 gold, a little bit less, a little bit more, to skill it up to that point where you get the most items. What you may want to make sure for the raids is that you get the battle chicken somehow, and if you are a rich boy, you get some sappers early on.
Get some sappers if you're a rich boy. Are you
going expensive?
Are you going skinning herbalism tactics?
I wanted to go enchanting actually. I'd be the main enchanter to earn gold. But I don't know if I'll do it. But I was considering doing that, because that's like a lot of money if you take it seriously. You just have to do it in the start. If you can be the main enchanter, it's so much money, because some of the enchants you're gonna sell for like 50, 100 gold, stuff like that, and people will buy them every day basically. So it's just free gold if you're like the first guy on the server to get the very rare enchants.
Yeah, true.
But
so
I don't know. Yeah, you have to like. I was thinking about like farming out. The first thing I did when I was 60 was farming out all the hard enchants, like Timbermore, 300 rep, all that kind of stuff. Like going to the cave in, or where is it? The Deadwind Pass, where you can get the 9 strength braces enchant. I would just get every single enchant that's hard to get, and then try to be the main enchanter that way. And then, because then if you already have every enchant, if you go into the raids with like, oh, if this enchant drops, you already have all the stuff ready. So let's say that a rare enchant drops in the raid, you just have your enchanting bag, and you just have all the things you need to just enchant straight up inside the raid. If you have this stuff ready in the raid, they're gonna give you the enchant instead of the other guy, and then you're gonna earn the money back by having the enchant. It's such a good way to earn a lot of money, and you just use some of your own money. It's like an investment.
So you got to keep stockpiled in your own bag, so you're good to go.
Yeah, I would do that walking into the raid.
Actually, a nice strat.
If you're like really serious about
No, definitely.
being the main enchanter.
That makes a lot of sense. All right, let's move on to our last topic of the day, guys. We're gonna talk about raiding as a rogue. So even if you PvE to PvP, you gotta do some PvE, guys. You gotta get in there in those raids and earn some gear. We all gotta do it. I really want to PvP primarily, but you know you gotta get in there and put in that time. Raiding as a rogue, guys. Chime in with noob mistakes to avoid. For maybe Dusty, you can start with just the real basic rotation as a rogue. You can probably answer that in one sentence on a really basic level, and we can talk about raiding as a rogue.
Yeah, it's usually you open with the Sinister Strike right into a Slice and Dice, get 5 combo points, keep up your Slice and Dice, and then eviscerate as you can. I would say the number one thing that people make mistakes on though would be letting combo points fall. Like you never want to waste combo points. So if like a mob is gonna die, don't try to get that extra Sinister Strike in to get that 1 extra combo point if it's gonna fall. Don't. It's the same as leveling. You're not gonna waste an eviscerate on a mob that's dying. Use a Slice and Dice so that you can carry that over to the next mob, and maybe cooldown management going from mobs to mobs. A lot of rogues don't utilize their cooldowns because they feel they're going to need them for bosses and stuff. Just kind of map it out.
I see. Okay, so so do you go 5 points into a Slice and Dice right away, or do you 1 point into Slice and Dice?
I get 1 point to open, and then go into a 4 or 5 point.
And you just keep up Slice and Dice, 100% consistency, and then...
Yeah, your white damage is basically what will carry it through.
Okay.
If you look at all the damage breakdowns and stuff, your white damage is by far what I noticed to be the highest impact on your deck.
Okay. And you're eviscerating when you're 5 point combo point only?
4 or 5.
Unless it's about to die, I guess, yeah, then you would do it with less. Okay. It makes a lot of sense. So, noob mistakes to avoid while raiding. One is the combo points. Tactics or Sorrana, you guys have any other noob mistakes or things you wish you could have known raiding as a rogue?
Well, this time it's Slice and Dice. Never let it drop off.
Yeah, you never let it drop. And don't stand in fire.
Don't stand in fire. Wise words. Wise words.
Rogues are very mobile while damaging, as long as they can stay in the hitbox of the mob. So take advantage that too many times melee likes to clump up and congregate in one location. Take advantage of the layout of the mob and
you guys...
sorry, go ahead. Don't lose your world buffs. If you actually go for world buffs, make sure you don't die. That's like...
Yeah, don't die.
Really important. Don't die.
Yeah. And how do you ensure you don't die? Is there
Don't stand in fire.
Yeah. I think that's about it.
Don't use the orc racial at bad times.
that is also true.
Speaking from experience there.
Yeah.
Run out of the fight in Pendage. It's really not much of a DPS loss, especially during progression for a lot of people that are not going to be trying to min-max, doing the speed runs. This is more for just your average. Remember to bandage. I mean, it'll help your healers out a lot, especially early on when mana pools are tight and things like that.
I feel that, man. As a warlock, we're bandaging like every single time it's up. We're bandaging, dude. It's so good to bandage. What about trinket swapping? So vanish and swapping trinkets. This is
I don't know how that's gonna work on Classic. I don't know if we had time to test it much because of how combat works with raids in the Legion.
I think it's working because last time, like today or yesterday, they released some bug fixes from the beta, and they put something in that hunters could now change trinkets while feign death in raids. Something.
Oh, well, then
So-
it would be fantastic.
Yeah, so it would be the same for rogues.
You really feel it though, Sorrana, as a hunter. You know, on private server, you just scatter and then you feign right into the trap, right? Like it feels crispy. I was doing it the other day on stream, dude, and with the 400 millisecond batch windows, it feels so bizarre, man. It's like a little, almost half second of just awkwardness, man, as it's all happening. I don't know if you feel that, if the batching has affected anything for you guys, but yeah, the feign death interaction into trap is a little rough. I don't know if it's gonna work the same way with trinkets, but hopefully there's enough time to swap out trinkets before you get put back into combat again. That's my concern.
Well, you use trinket menu, obviously. That is doing it instantly.
Yeah. Okay. That's definitely one of the nuances of it. Let's see, any consumables or anything you guys are
All
gonna...
consumables. Consumer is super important for rogue. Farm your jujus.
Your food? Good food. Is there a food buff for rogues phase 1 too?
15 agility or 10 agility, I think,
10,
from the
yeah.
Okay.
10 from the squid, and I don't know how Dragon Breath Chili will work, because on Northdale actually it stacks, so you can use only the squid and the Dragon Breath Chili together, which are two food buffs it seems. But as soon as you use, like, let's say desert dumplings or sunfruit and the Dragon Breath Chili, it overrides each other for some reason. So
I think
we will
that's the
see
level,
how this works out.
Because the dumplings are a level 45 food and the squid is only 35.
Possible, yeah. So Dragon Breath Chili is like a little AoE that you can spit while hitting. And there's a lot more about consumables. It's not just your self buffs. You can exploit a lot of mechanics on bosses with consumables. Like, let's say first snake boss in MC, what is his stupid name? The one with the curse.
Lucy?
Yeah, Lucifron. Everyone, you know the story. Everyone who was in the pack raid knows the story. Oh, mages and druids, you decurse, okay? You do nothing else. So, but if everyone in your raid just uses what is it called?
Restorative?
Restorative potion, you just display yourself every 5 seconds, so you can go full DPS all the time. And that is the same with, like, on the other bosses. If you, for example, use on, I think, Gehennas it is, or where they have the little stuns, like the Hand of Sulfuron or what it is. If you just pop a fab pre-combat, you can just nuke him down all the time, not losing any DPS because of the...
What about
also-
Frobog medicine pouch, dude? What if you had the... Is that... one thing, I don't know, like, you can equip offhands as a rogue, right? One thing I'm doing in... As a warlock, when you're under geared doing progression through this stuff, is I'm using a lot of these weird items that you would normally use in PvP to help keep you alive and stuff. I don't know if you, I mean, you use lips and stuff when you do a little boo boo with the threat, you know, or Frobog medicine pouch or whatever. I wonder if there's anything weird you can do with rogue. You use tubers.
Yeah. Tubers are the same cooldown like Facility, so you want to think of that.
Oh, is it? Okay.
You want to use your Facility on that.
Yeah. It also shares cooldown with Health Stone, unfortunately, but yeah, I mean, you can have another one.
Then there's the whole story in MC with, like, the Shadow Oil.
Yeah, I don't know if the spell power rogue thing is gonna work, to be honest.
It didn't work that well on Northdale either. I tried it a few times, even with Flask and shit, and it seems like the spell damage from potions and stuff didn't affect the Shadow Bolts in any way. But I don't know how Classic turned out.
Depending on how well you farm, if you really want to try hard, you can pay a healer or a group of healers to constantly pop Fury Jujus on you. That way you keep up that 30% all the time. I mean, granted, you have to farm a lot of Jujus for that, but like on certain fights that are only lasting, 20, 30 seconds, once you get to those speed clears, you can definitely keep up 30% by having healers that don't need the Jujus to just spam.
Yeah.
Interesting, okay. What are your big ticket items in phase 1 that you're looking for as a rogue?
Hand of Justice.
Yeah, true. Hand of Justice is sick.
Yeah.
I don't even know what patch progression is in phase 1, to be honest, because I'm not that of a PvE hero. So
I would say people looking to clear MC in the first couple of weeks, Mask of Unforgiven, really easy to farm. You can probably clear it in about, do strat runs in about 10-15 minutes to that boss. Devil Sword, because it's going to be pretty easy. Blackstone Ring, and a Hand of Justice.
Okay.
You also get a lot of good items from Ubers, but you're also fighting for gear with a lot of other classes then, so you can't actively farm it early on.
Are you gonna do any professions on the way up, Tactics? Like anything at all?
Only first aid. I don't.
Just first
Nothing
aid.
else really. I'm just going skinning or herb lesson when I hit 60.
Okay. Okay.
And that's
I will
it.
take skinning just because of the mount thingy.
Mm-hmm.
I will invest that little bit of time.
I don't think it's worth. I calculated it out. I don't think it's worth in terms of money making. I think skinning is overrated. Like if you do it, don't only skin early game to where just you exactly skin up or skill up, and whenever it becomes like green or gray, you stop skinning until it becomes yellow or orange again. And then when you hit around level 30, that's when you want to start skinning the mobs again, because then it's actually worth it in terms of time invested into each mob per gold you make or whatever you want to call it.
Are you able to afford the green weapons you buy though from vendors without any skinning or anything like that? No
Yeah,
problem?
no problem, no problem.
No problem.
It's like the only time you have problems with money is 1 to 16. Then after 16 you have too much. And I buy my mount at 45 and a half.
Oh.
No matter what, because that's where it is in my route. But I have money for it at like 44, I think.
Okay.
Usually.
Another thing that
But I
comes to
never
mind.
had trouble getting my mount with skinning. It is so worth it.
It only
mean-
gives around 11 gold, I believe.
Nah,
From 1 to 40.
I don't know what is worth in the beta.
Yeah.
To be honest, no idea. But on private servers, it's like I don't know. It's it's half of what the mounts need, like 40, 50.
Are you buying
Something.
max rank food the whole time, Tactics? As like every 10 levels, or are you buying?
Yeah, I
15?
think that's why. I don't think the skinning actually gives much. I'll be honest. I think the reason is the difference might be stuff like me using way more food and first aid and stuff like that, so I don't sell as much. And I also buy a lot of greens, and I buy a lot of weapons from vendors.
Sounds like a lot of stuff you're buying, man. The food really adds up. Too.
Yeah.
The food really, if you're buying max rank food, man, that's a big money drain, man. You gotta be.
I
careful.
always buy max rank, and
Yeah.
I even use it like half settings and stuff like that, because I don't really care about money while leveling. I don't think that amount saves a lot of time.
Okay.
Getting a few levels earlier, it saves maybe 10 minutes. Me getting the food saves maybe an hour or half an hour or whatever.
So that's one general learning, that the mount doesn't make as much of a difference as people might think, right?
Yeah, especially as a rogue, or because you wanna like kill mobs while you kite backwards, like strafe kill, right? So as a rogue, you don't want to go on the mount. If you're like a mage or something, then you might want the mount, because then you can do like big AoE pulls, or you can't really kite and kill because you have to cast your first ball or whatever. Then it doesn't matter as much, right, while leveling. Or it matters more while leveling to get your actual mount as a caster than as a melee.
Okay, makes sense. And
As a
another-
hunter, it doesn't matter much, of course, because you have cheetah.
True. Same with druid. Travel form versus mount
Yeah.
is not that huge of a savings. Another thing, I don't know if Sorrana or Dusty, you guys have heard of this. I don't know if this is going to be in your guide or not, or maybe I'm just exposing it to the world. But you were telling me before that you found a way to solo get your BFD sword. Is that still true?
Wait, what?
I don't know about that.
Solo get your quest reward from BFD?
Oh. Yeah. You mean me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I will make a YouTube video before release, I think, and I already did it on stream. Basically you just stealth the whole instance, you get the quest, and then you just kick and gouge. You don't want to go behind the pillar, because if you go behind the pillar, the mob that you're gonna kill for the BFD solo, the outlaw saber, it's basically gonna stuck into the wall and it's gonna evade, and then so you don't want to LOS the thrust balls, which is kind of what
Okay.
you would
That's
think you would
pretty
have to
cool.
do.
Do you have to go any weird spec or anything? Or you can just do it as a normal combat
No,
sword spec?
you have a potion, and that's it, and you just have you kick and gouge every single frost bolt. At one point, it's gonna frost Nova, walk away, and cast 2 frost bolts, which is 600 damage for sure. The rest is just gonna be auto attacks. That's like 50 to 100 damage a hit. And with you using first aid and pot, and you would have around 900 health at that point. You have it around 1700. So if you just make sure it doesn't use the frost bolts, and it only auto attacks, you're fine.
Do you know what level you could do your poison quest for? Can you do it at 20, or do you have to wait till like 24 to name?
22, because you need to vanish before you can do it. At 20, it's too hard. If you got a little heal or something, or another rogue, of course you can, but...
Isn't it that a huge deal, though? That's like a big revolutionary deal. The fact that you can solo get a huge weapon upgrade like that? That's the only...
massive
impact. Like, everybody in the stream should be, like, taking notes right now. Like, holy moly, dude. That's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, you have no weapon progression as Horde. Horde has the worst weapon progression. And I get my weapon at level 16, then 21, then... No, 20 and then 21. And then the next one is 27. And then I used to get the double 31, or 29-31 weapons. Oh, double 31 actually. But because you do BFD now, you just keep the 27 and... it's 27 green, and you have the Black Fathom Depths blue 28 weapon. And just keep that all the way to level 41.
Damn.
So the weapon, yeah. You have no weapon from
such a
28
big
to
deal.
41.
Yeah.
Yep.
Think about how long it would take to form a group for BFD and run it all the way up to that point and do it, man. I mean, there's some quests in there, but the fact that you can solo it, I mean, that's just crazy.
No, I do 4 quests solo.
You do 4 BFD quests solo?
Yeah, 4 quests solo.
Okay, which one do you have?
Outside there's the
Okay.
crystals.
Yeah.
Outside the crystals,
Yep.
then you have the sorcerer outside. There's like a damp node. It's the quest called damp node.
Just a turn in,
Yeah,
right?
it only drops from the sorcerers.
Yep.
So that's 2 quests outside. Then the boss that you have to kill, you have to loot the Fathom Core. When you loot the Fathom Core, that's the 3rd quest. And then the boss itself drops the 4th quest, which is the Outlaw Saber.
Oh, so you solo that water guy as well underwater?
Yeah, that's the guy that drops Outlaw.
Oh, right.
And speed level and strats.
And then you
4
stealth the
quests.
whole instance.
But 2 of them
Like,
are hand and stuff, though, right? 2 of those quests that you're doing are just the damp note and then the thing that boss drops.
Yeah, and then you
Okay.
have 2 quests beforehand.
That's still pretty insane, dude. Wow. That's crazy. 4 dungeon quests solo. That is crazy, man. Alright, guys. Well, we've been streaming for... this was planned to be a 2-hour show. We're at 2 hours and 17 minutes right now, so we have been streaming for the 2 hours. Guys, if you're listening right now, wherever you are in the world, if you could do me a favor and follow these guys, it would really mean a lot to me. These guys, took time out of their busy days. They're all practicing for Classic, getting ready for Classic, doing big brain stuff. Making themselves available to be here and share knowledge with you guys. I would appreciate it if you guys could follow them. Tactics Lol is your name on Twitch, right? Tactics_Lol.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Dusty's starting to stream as well. I'm gonna put all their streams in here individually. If you guys are playing Rogue, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't follow them. Like, it's just more people to collab with. Good people here too. Sorrana is also Twitch TV, twitch.tv/Sorrana 199, is it?
Yep, exactly.
Here we go. Twitch.tv/Sorrana 199. I'm putting their links in the chat. Dusty, do you have yours?
My Twitch is just /Dustbone.
Okay. .tv/Dustbone.
Yeah, posted in the channel for you.
Okay. I got it as well. You guys, yeah, if you could follow them and hit them with some follows. Also, if you are gonna level as a rogue, Tactics has would you say at this point it's a class specialized leveling guide? Because it's made with rogues in mind, like everything.
I would say it is a class specific, but it works for every class. But the only thing you would have to change if you want to be like 100% optimized is know your weapon progression, do the quest earlier that you have to do earlier for each class, and get the wide weapons or whatever that you have to get earlier, or vendor weapons. And that's really the only thing you would have to change. Otherwise, it is rogue specific because you get the weapons earlier, and there's stuff like solo BFD and all that stuff. So yes.
Okay. So if you're gonna level a rogue, this dude has probably put in thousands of hours into making this guide, man. That's what you want, man. Sub to him, get the sub version of it. Yeah, pretty much. So definitely follow these guys. Sorrana, are you going to be streaming after this, or any of you guys going to be streaming?
Not today, unfortunately. I will be in the next days. I will try a new gnome route, because usually the game for me starts at 60. I'm really bad at everything which is before that. So I try to improve. And if you want to have a fun time, you can see me fail.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely follow these guys. Dusty, are you going to stream or Tactics? I can host one of you.
I probably won't be streaming much until release.
Okay.
To be honest, I don't have access, and I don't really want to stream much of the private server stuff to get.
Okay.
Yeah, I did my last stream today. Like I streamed on private today. That's like, not touching that anymore. In case, you know.
Yeah.
And I already streamed 7 hours today, so I don't think I'm turning it on.
Okay. Well, again, guys, thank you very much for being here. I really, really do appreciate it. I know it's hard to get everyone out from their busy days. And please follow these guys. It would mean a lot to me because they went out on a limb to help be here on the stream today and provide content to everybody. So with that said, we're going to close out the stream here, guys. Hope you're able to learn something. We're 7 days away. We're getting so close. You can freaking taste it, man. Just 1 week is separating us from Classic WoW. It's going to be an era. So with that said, guys, going to go ahead and host my man Frosted Damas. You guys know Big Frosty. And we're going to end the stream here, guys. So say any last words, fellas?
Well, I'm hyped for Classic, and I hope you are as well.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's going to be nice.
All right, guys, take care. See you next time.